Has she potted with you before?
So we've been doing we haven't done one in a while. And I would say just get comfortable, and then pull the mic to you. And so, like, you're not leaning into it. Like, get comfy, and then put it where you need it to.
All right, I'll take my shoes off.
Yeah, do you? I mean, whatever. There you go.
There we go. I smell like garlic.
From doing your pickles?
Dude, yeah. Did you smell it when I walked in?
No.
When we hugged? Like garlic, dill,
you're fending off the vampires.
Mustard seed, peppercorns.
Yeah. So it's all good stuff
all
until
the
it's
fresh elements.
pickles.
I love dill. So you won't even eat a cucumber.
I mean, I will. So here's the thing. Like I was saying before I walked in, I have been trying. I work with Daisy and express that, like, hey, everything in life is worth trying. And that includes food. Like, you've never had it. Like, don't tell me you don't like something you've never had. So we have a thing, and she's pretty good about it, where I'm like, you have to try it. And she'll be like, oh. And I'll
That's
touch
fun to
her,
watch a kid try things.
Yeah. And sometimes, there's been a few times where she's like, I don't want it. And then and I put it, and she's like, oh,
Does
okay.
she smell it first ever?
Not really. She just goes for it. Yeah.
Like a tongue dab.
Yeah, I think she learned, because she used to just open her mouth, and now she's like, fuck that. It's not coming in unless I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
So she just sticks her tongue out, and I literally like take the fork and like rub it on her like whatever it takes. But because of that, she's turned it around on me, and I'll be like, oh, Daisy, like, this, I had a pickle with this, or I had something, but I don't like. She's like, did you taste it? And I'm like, you're absolutely right. So I've been eating more pickles than I've eaten in like years, because if it comes with a sandwich and it's a good like deli pickle, I'm like, you know what? People love this.
Yeah.
So I will say, I forget where I was, but in the past week, I've probably eaten dill pickles 3 times. Because
I don't
I'm
like those sloppy ones on the side that are service sandwiches or a burger. For some reason, they're just not crisp. They're not crunchy enough.
Do you think it's just because they've been sitting in jars on a shelf and whatever?
I've worked in service for years. I know where that pickle's coming from. It's just in that big dirty jar in the back, or it's sitting out in the assembly line.
Right.
And they're in there, and they've been in there, so they're not chilled enough.
Right.
Like that is, they have to be in the fridge.
Where did you work in service? What did you do?
Let's see. I first started in LA. So I was tired of my corporate job. I hated it.
What was your?
I used to be a headhunter.
For what industry?
Tech, mostly.
Okay.
I started in construction.
What do you mean used to be? You're like 23. How old are you?
Around there. Yeah.
Like when you were in middle school, you were a headhunter? Like wow, you were really...
You can ask, take names. I was always a salesperson, for sure. I would sell golf balls. Like I'd go get them out of the creek, and then I'd stand at like the 9th hole, and me and my brothers
Are you serious? You go waiting for golf balls and then sell them back?
And then be like, hey, I've been looking for this one. I'm like, that's $2, dude.
Yeah.
You want that back?
$2 is
that's
cheap.
That's a Titleist. Yeah, so I was always selling something. I was like queen of my Girl Scout troop.
What? Okay.
I don't know.
You've always been a salesperson. Like,
I think it's just been in my blood, embedded in my DNA.
How old were you when you had your first job, or was the golf balls your first lucrative business?
I mean, if you want to count like actually being on a payroll, that would. Well,
let's start before that. Like the golf ball thing, you created your own. That's an entrepreneurial move.
Yes, did that. Babysitting for sure. Like,
how old were you when you were babysitting?
God, what's the legal age?
No, that's not what I asked.
11,
I asked how old were you?
11, 12.
And how old were the kids that you were babysitting?
My little baby cousins in Houston.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they would just put me up, my family's long lineage of alcoholics. So they're just, so get Lauren over here. She loves, and so.
And then would the parents leave and drink, or they would just be like in the other half of the house?
No, they would leave. Okay. But I think the legal age is 12 to leave. I don't know if it varies state to state.
Well, it changed now. Like I don't know if you can leave a 12-year. I think 12 is here in California. So while at the same time, latchkey kids were 7. Yeah. When we were younger,
they didn't even think about that, like smoking when you're pregnant or drinking with your.
Well, they encouraged women to smoke when they were pregnant. They're like, it makes the baby smaller, so it's an easier birth.
Love cigarettes.
They do.
They will smoke when they're pregnant.
Yeah. But back then, they thought they were healthy. Their ads were like 7 out of 10 doctors smoke Marlboros. Like, it was crazy. Yeah. And it's so weird because on that, what a tangent. On that topic, I think it's funny that people are like, well, the medical industry and the medical they wouldn't lie to us. They wouldn't. I was like, yeah, they would. Every step of the way, they've been giving us bad information. The medical industry used to tell us smoking was good for us.
I can't believe that. I need to see that a commercial.
You've never seen those ads? They used to be in magazines all the time and stuff. They'd literally be a doctor with a cigarette And it'd say shit like 7 out of 10, smoke Marlboros
What
or
would
whatever
it
the
say
thing was.
were the benefits, though?
Like something like anxiety, like what's the word? Not anxiety, but the opposite of anxiety, but like calming and relaxation and da 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 da. At the end of a day, da 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 Marlboro.
Life
Like
of a fag.
yeah, in England, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's just funny because like I had this conversation with a friend of mine. I have a few friends now that are doctors. A couple are surgeons. One's a surgeon. All she does is fix butts. Like she just looks at buttholes all day.
Wow.
And like every time I see her, I'm like, "Do you see any assholes today?" And she's like, "Let me tell you about this asshole." And she literally is like, "I saved this guy's asshole, but I had to take out 3 feet of his colon. But he's not going to need a bag because I'm amazing at my job." And that's amazing. She literally like saves people's assholes and like takes cancer out of other sections and think it's nuts. But so she's a surgeon. I have another friend that's a surgeon that does like breast cancer. That's all she does is like help women with breast cancer stuff.
That's marvelous.
And then another and this is like all our kind of friend group. And then there's another doctor. She's just like a general physician. She sees patients and stuff like that. And I've had this conversation with all of them about like, I had a blood disorder as a kid called spherocytosis. My blood cells are shaped like balls instead of like donuts. They're supposed to be concave. Mine are round. That's why it's spherocytosis. So
I didn't know what they're supposed to look like.
You didn't know?
No.
Okay, well, now you know.
I still don't even
it's
know
like a
what happened
donut
to my
without the
period.
hole. That is your uterine lining shedding because
Right.
now it doesn't need to house life.
Shedding. It's like a snake
Like a
slithering
puppy.
through my insides.
Or a snake.
Uterine lining
Yeah.
shedding. Kelsey Cook has a bit about that.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
Chad Daniels told her that.
Yeah, and she was like, it's the hottest thing I've ever heard.
Oh my God. Yeah, it is. It's pretty, okay, cool.
You know what's funny? That's probably where I got the line, that's your
I think
uterine.
you did.
It probably did because
Hey.
it sounded, as soon as I thought, I was like, yeah, I've heard that. Yep, it's that.
Comedians are educators, okay?
Yeah,
Like,
we know a lot.
we
And by that I
smarten the
mean,
world up.
we regurgitate a lot.
Yeah, but it's
But I had this great conversation with him, and I was like, when I was Daisy's age, when I was 6, they took my spleen out because that was the cure for this blood disorder. Because your spleen is the only thing that really freaks out. And when you get sick, your spleen goes into overdrive, and like your spleen's filtering your blood all the time, and especially when you get sick. So when you get sick with spherocytosis, your spleen sees all of your blood cells as bad, so it just starts destroying and cleaning everything. So it can drop your red blood count like way low.
Okay.
So they're just like, we just take your spleen out. It doesn't do any, like literally their thought is like,
your
you don't
appendix.
need it. Yeah, you don't need it. And they took mine out. Well, now we know that your spleen does a whole bunch of stuff to keep you like your immune system stronger, plus the cleaning and all the whatever. And so now if like a kid like Daisy right now, her numbers have always been good. But like she might not need one, but now they do partial splenectomies because they're like, you kind of need your spleen, but if like your spleen, because it's doing all that extra work, it like swells up. Like mine was like 5 times the size it was supposed to be.
Was that painful? Did you?
No, we never got to that point because we knew. My mom almost died when she was 10 because her spleen was like all this pain and they took her to the hospital.
Genetic.
It is genetic, 50-50. All three, both of my brothers had it. We got it from my mom. Daisy has it. I have my nephew and both of my nieces. They have it.
Oh
so
my
it's like,
Lord! I hear about a new disease or disorder every day.
yeah, and it's not. Yeah, because we're dying. But I think it's funny because I was telling when I was a kid, they were like, yeah, just take your spleen out, and now they're like, well, we realize that your spleen has a purpose and we should leave some of it in. So now we just take a partial splenectomy. And in that conversation with my physician friend, I was like, yeah, like, they took that but while they were when they had me cut way open, like now they do it all orthoscopically or whatever with like this hole, that's it. Laparoscope. Thank you.
Yeah.
For me, I have a scar from here to here because they literally just cut you open and start grabbing shit. And while they were in there, like, we just took your appendix. We were here. And I was telling that to my doctor friend, and she was like, yeah, but like the appendix doesn't do anything. I'm like, that's what we thought about spleens 25 years ago. Huh. So don't tell me it doesn't. Your body has it.
Books, but they don't in bodies.
Right.
I mean, come on.
Yeah,
I know
clearly they have
useful.
purpose.
Mine was sucked out too.
They took your appendix?
I had and it was down the gullet, taken out that way.
Fun.
Yeah, that was in the mid 2000s.
Yeah. What, did it burst or were you sick or was there some
I was just
issue?
experiencing a lot of pain, and
that was it.
A gynecologist nor a regular doctor could figure it out. They're like, why don't we just try this? But it's something you don't need, so maybe that's it.
You got a couple extra parts here. Maybe they're
still
causing
here.
problems. Yeah.
That was over 10 years ago.
But that's the same, again, that's the same medical field that used to tell us cigarettes were good and that used to, do lobotomies on people.
Well,
and that
suppress
used
the
to
appetite,
say,
right? which all the housewives in the 50s, like
Right.
just
They were popping pills and smoking
Valiums
cigarettes.
and ludes and cigs and waiting for their husbands to come home just to stand there with that martini as soon as they walk in.
Yeah.
Wow, what a different way of life. I'm watching a show right now that is so good. I'm obsessed with Truman Capote. Always
interesting.
loved.
Yeah.
Philip Seymour Hoffman obviously played
that
him.
that's such a great
I need to
movie.
watch it again, but there's so much out there about him. But this is played by Tom Hollander, but it's the cast. Like I always go for the cast, even if I don't like the plot. If I like the actors, I'm going to watch it. Even if you're like, no, that movie's terrible. I love the actors, so I'm going to watch them. They can do no wrong. So it's like Naomi Watts, Diane Lane, Demi Moore.
Is this new?
Molly Ringwald. It's fairly new, yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's an FX show. It's a Ryan Murphy show, so you know it's going to be good. He did like so many great shows. And then Gus Van Sant is also producing it. So it's just all these amazing components. Who else is in it? It's just an incredible cast. So it's like Capote versus the Swans. And you know what the best thing, like I have a gay best friend. He lives here in San Diego. I don't have one in Austin yet, but a really like uptight, gay man, excuse me. He loves to be around beautiful women, right?
Who doesn't?
I know, but like gay men, especially if you see like the elite models or the upper classes. So this is set in the late 50s, 60s in New York City. And, you know, when his In Cold Blood came out, Breakfast at Tiffany's. But he's a huge alcoholic. And he is just like smoking cigs. They're all smoking cigs. One of them's got cancer and she's just still like getting an MRI and she's smoking a cigarette in the doctor's office. Like, who cares? She's on radiation.
Yeah. It's not the cigarettes. Back then, it's not the cigarettes. Cigarettes are fine. Cigarettes are healthy.
Yeah. Did you ever smoke?
No. In my life, I've smoked 4 cigarettes.
Wow.
Like, that's it. And it was always like I probably 2 in college because I was sitting at a table with a bunch of my fraternity brothers and we're all drinking and they're smoking. And these guys lit up. I've found it so dumb then. They lit up to the point where like a couple of them had yellow fingers. From how much they smoked, and they took pride in it.
Keep that away from my hoo-ha. Oh my god!
Yeah, it's not for the hoo-ha. And I remember we're sitting at a table and we're all just like at a bar drinking, and they're just fucking crushing cigs.
Lighting like the end of it, the next one with
yeah.
That's so
and
gross.
I was like, give me one, and they're like, don't do this, you know. And it was always weird because they were like, no, like you don't smoke, like this isn't for you. And I was like, give me one. No, give me one. And I lit it and I was like, oh, is this cool? Are we cool now? Hey guys, is this how you do it? Am I flicking it? You know? And I was just mocking them and they were like, you're kind of ruining this for us. I was like, yeah, you guys are idiots. Like,
are they
what are
all
you
still
doing?
alive? Do any of them have cancer now?
I don't know.
God, I hope not.
I don't think so. I think they're all okay.
I mean, I only smoked cigs when I was doing cocaine. Like,
how long was that era of your life? And that was while you were 11 years old and babysitting. That was the weird part.
My aunt would give it to me. My aunt.
She's like, we need to make sure Lauren stays up all night.
Yes.
So here's some cigs and some Coke.
Yeah.
We'll be back tomorrow.
She's set.
Put these kids to bed.
Happy Hanukkah. Yeah, I got into it because, let's see, it was my freshman year in college. That's when I first had my first toot.
Where did you see Coke for the first time? Like, how was it presented to you?
Well, I would glamorize it, like romanticize it when I would see it in movies. Like Elvira Hancock in Scarface, just like drinking a scotch with a cig, and she's so beautiful and
just doing little key bump
and
things.
Just doing little. I mean, obviously she was miserable. We know it didn't turn out well for her. And then I'd see Sharon Stone in Casino, all glamorous in Vegas, just like rocking.
Yeah, but the end of the movie.
Yeah, and then I know it doesn't turn out well for any of them, but I didn't care. I was like, I want to experience that.
Okay.
And so I think part of it was, people say weed is the gateway drug. I think it was Adderall for me. I was prescribed Adderall when I was 17.
So speed.
Yes.
Practically cocaine.
Legal cocaine. Yeah. Moses Storm is like, but what if we made it blue? I love that bit. Or orange, like colors of the rainbow, taste it. So I just had this psychiatrist in high school in La Jolla, not far from here. I wonder if that hack's still around. He should have been sued for malpractice. I had an eating disorder at the time. I was starving myself. So he's like, oh, yeah, let's give her a pill that's basically going to suppress her appetite further. That is legal cocaine.
And give her all the energy.
Yeah. And so I just felt limitless, just like that movie.
Yeah. I dabbled with that a couple of times in college.
Adderall?
Yeah, mainly for partying.
You're only just a couple of times kind of guy.
With some things,
smokes, couple of addies.
With some things, like Adderall, I took it probably like 4 times academically, like specifically for academic, because I had to study or whatever. And then one time, like I think I'd only taken 10s and it worked. Like I'm a person, like for me to read, I need. Like if I'm in my house and I'm reading, all the lights are off except for the one on the book.
Really?
The TV's off. There's no noise. There's no anything. Like because I'm the asshole that reads a page and it goes, I didn't hear any of that. And I started, because like my brain's over here yet I'm still.
They say it takes 3 times, especially if you're audibly being taught something.
Yeah.
Like if you have to go learn, like I did in real estate. I was a broker for a while. Like you're taught something, you hear it the first time, it's not downloading, and then you hear it the second time, it's in the third time that you actually practice it, then it's fully absorbed.
That sounds. I'm very much a visual, like I like audiobooks better because I feel like I actually absorb it better, and visual, like in school, like if you can show me how something works, I can do that.
Yeah.
But if it's like, hey, read this book, for me to retain,
I love the audiobooks because it's like you're being read to, just like when you're a kid.
Yeah. It's the best.
But some of them, I'm big on voice, like even in a yoga class.
It has to be good.
Anything, like listening to Matthew Perry's book before he passed away, which like I know people.
Weirder now.
It was really hard because he was struggling to get through it.
Really?
Like it was, I'm like, I really want to listen to this story.
He needed Coke and cigs.
He needed Jennifer Aniston or someone else, another friend. He needed to call a friend to do the audiobook narration because it's that bad?
Like his own, he just couldn't.
It's just like he sounds retarded.
Okay.
Yeah, he just doesn't sound good. Yeah, he doesn't sound well. And like he's saying he's keeping up with 55 pills a day, and even somebody who's a millionaire who's literally going into open houses in his Beverly Hills or wherever, Hollywood neighborhood, and raiding other people's medicine cabinets.
He was doing that?
Yeah.
Wow.
The story, it's such a good book. You have to read.
Interesting.
You have to. And being somebody who's a previous, recovering addict, like I just love hearing these stories. A lot of them don't end well, clearly.
Yeah.
It's very sad, but they're so relatable, and you just see, okay, because some people are like, this isn't a disease. It's not an issue. But your interesting case, you're like, oh yeah, I tried it a couple of times. Like you didn't love the feeling of being able to study and enhance your abilities?
I did, but then somebody gave me a 20 because I had a test.
Whoa, you got to split that in half, baby.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Up until that point, I only done 10s, but then I was studying with this friend of mine who was my roommate's girlfriend. We were in the same class, and she was like, hey, we're going to go study for like 3 hours and then take the test. I got us each a 20, da-da-da-da. I was like, all right, cool. 30 minutes in, like we had 3 hours to study, and we're in like one of those like study rooms in the library, and we're like, we got books in front of us and we're going through all the stuff. And I remember I just got so jittery that I just accepted the fact. I was like, this isn't happening. I'm fucked. It's over. I can't be in this room right now. Ew. I'm not reading any of this.
And then you want to have a drink to calm it down, because that's what I would want.
I don't think I had that connection back then. I'm not a good drinker. I was like a college binge drinker where like, and I've learned that about myself now, is like my limit's 3. There's no reason for James to have more than, because if I have, and even 3, if I have 4, it's 6.
Yeah.
And once I get to that, it's 9 or 10, and then I don't even know what's happening.
All bets are off.
Yeah.
Closed too, probably.
I'm not the like, hey, why is that guy naked here? But I am the guy that's like, there's a pool, who wants to go skinny dipping? I am that guy.
So you wouldn't like, say you were 6 drinks in or over that 3 limit, and cocaine came out in the party you were in, or like someone's like, here, I have some Molly, or would you just take?
Never done Molly.
Would you know?
I'm not the guy that's like, hey, I got these pills. Like I have friends where I would see them and somebody's like, hey, you want some pill? And like they don't even know what it is. They're like, well, yeah, let's have the ride. No, I'm too much of a control freak for that. I've never done Molly.
Never done it?
Never done Molly. Or back in the day, ecstasy, as it was called, back when it was clean, before it got dirty and it had to get rebranded.
Well, ecstasy is now a press pill. Molly is supposed to be more pure.
Right. Well, Molly's supposed to be like, it's pure MDMA, where I guess ecstasy was cut with shit. I knew a kid that I grew up with that became like the biggest Molly dealer, or back then it was ecstasy, because this is 2000, 2001, in Orlando. And this kid would like drive from Orlando to Miami and buy like 300-400 pills, and then drive back to Orlando and sell them at all the clubs and stuff. But they were like on him all the time. It was really funny. He and his roommate were like these 2 kids that I grew up with that were not the kids you ever would have thought that would be drug dealers.
That's the best way.
But they got to college.
Very unassuming.
Yeah, they got to college and were like, we're going to be the biggest ecstasy dealers in the,
I sold weed in LA. I did. I got into it through a dealer. And yeah, I was bartending at the time. I'd left, I'd gotten laid off from my job in Culver City, and I was like, oh, let's take a pause here. Somehow in my haze, I did an inventory of like, I hate this. I've been doing this job for 6 years, recruiting, trying to get other people jobs. The economy was shit. So when you don't have jobs to give people, you don't have a job. So then I said, I live at the beach. I rarely see it. I know how to fluff up a resume. So I just had a bunch of friends. Yeah, I'll vouch for her. She has service industry experience. So then I just suddenly was like waiting tables at this beach bar in Manhattan Beach. And it was awesome because
money's
live
good.
Music.
Yeah.
And
You're
then
outside,
I
the weather's
worked
gorgeous.
myself way. All of a sudden I'm managing the joint.
By accident.
Because someone's like, didn't you go to college? I'm like, oh yeah. They're like, you can run the place. So I'm like, I'm making the schedule. Talk about a dynamic shift of like where you're friends with everybody on the same playing field. When you become manager, you've seen the movie Waiting.
Yeah. I've worked at a number
Long.
of restaurants. Yeah.
Yeah, they start to hate him and they turn on him like, oh, hey, like she makes the schedule now. She's on a part, and I'm like, I don't like it.
Did you end up on salary too?
No, actually, I just got a higher. It was not legal. We won't name the place. It's not there anymore. I was like a few bucks extra, like over minimum wage. And so I was like still getting tips because I was waiting tables too. So I was double dipping.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It was nice. Yeah. It was nice. And then enter selling the weed concentrates when they hit the market. This was 2014, 10 years ago. There's no scent detection. They didn't smell. So I would bring those in a little cooler bag, put them back in the locker area. And then I had my regulars who would come and I just like start getting them on this stuff.
At the table.
At the bar. Like, hey, buy a cartridge. And they're like, you know what? They need something to smoke it out of. So then I just ordered all this stuff off like the black market in China, and I'd start going to trade shows like at Magic or Agenda and all that stuff for like surf, snow, and ski.
Yeah.
And I'd walk around pretending to be a buyer, like, yeah, I'm into those board shorts, but I'm like, hey, I'm really selling stuff too. You guys, you've been in here all day. You got a party later. Like, buy some.
Look at you. Such an entrepreneur.
Yeah, always have been. Mm-hmm. Hence now the pickles. We'll see how those sell tonight. Yeah. It's very low overhead to make them.
I love it. And besides carrying them around.
That's the problem.
That's a hard part. What's it? Dave that does the hot sauce.
Hot sauce.
Hot sauce. Which, Dave Yates. Sorry, Dave. Such one amazing hot sauce. I got my first bottle like years ago. Got a new one because I just did a weekend with him like a few months ago. And it's like genius. And it costs him like a $1 a bottle or whatever by the time he's done. He makes it in huge batches and it's really good. But also he has to lug 150 hot sauce bottles around the city.
Well, you could just ship them to your destination.
I think he does. And I think he has a giant, like, soft suitcase that he can just, like, I think he just trusts them. Like, they don't leak.
He's for sure dialed in the way.
Yeah. He's got it nailed in. But people love buying hot sauce. And it's a reasonable thing to buy. It's, it's like you... Because let's face it, merch is such a weird thing for us in the comedy world where it's like nobody wants your shirt.
I hate t-shirts.
And like I made shirts for this podcast. Yeah, I wear them, but I don't. It's so funny because like people I know are like, hey, I got it. Like Dave Wright is probably the only time who owned PB ice cream.
I need to go.
You have? Oh, we should go after this. It's so
my God.
So he I was there last time and like because I take Daisy from time to time and he's like, oh man, I got shirts made and he's like, you want one? And in my mind, I'm like, I'm not gonna wear it, but I was like, you know what?
I'd rather have a free cone.
Yeah.
It's going inside, not on the outside.
Yeah. But I'm just not somebody's shirt. So I understand when people are like, they just want to support you. But if you got to look t-shirts everywhere, like, and most people's shirts, nobody wants to wear. I don't want to wear your joke that's shit cotton.
Yeah.
There's a 30% chance it's sort of racist or something.
Your face is on it.
Yeah, who knows?
I'm not a walking billboard for you.
Yeah, exactly. So I've been kicking around like merch, whatever. Like, I don't know. Like I made stickers recently because I was like, it's something. All they want to do is have a reason to give you some money.
Yeah.
Is really what it is. They want to support you. And it's like, hey, I have this sticker, any donation. And some people give you $1, some people give you $5, some people give you $20.
Right. For a magnet. You just made $20 on a magnet.
Yeah, because they don't give a shit. Yeah. The sticker's going in the garbage.
Don't set the price, kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. Donation, just like those yoga classes. I'd love a donation. I'm just trying to get to the next town. Yeah. I'm just trying.
Sedona, here I come.
I know.
All right. So you're 11. You're babysitting for alcoholics.
Yes. Inviting boys over. Starting to invite boys over.
Wow. With like tuck the kids in, boyfriend comes over.
Yeah. That started.
Love or just lusty? Was it love?
I had boyfriends.
Is it love?
When was your first kiss? Age.
Well, what counts? Like
tongue.
Kindergarten?
Stop it.
I put my tongue in a girl's mouth. I put my tongue in a girl's mouth in kindergarten. She put her tongue in my mouth too.
Where did you learn that?
I don't know.
You
Probably
have to have seen it in a movie.
Actually Top Gun.
Top Gun.
Top Gun. I can't think of the song, but I'd sing it. The song where the first
Take My Breath Away?
Yeah, Take My Breath Away. Thank you. And it's all that like high contrast, like the light, the white drapes behind them.
Want that.
And you can see their mouths coming together and fucking tongue.
So you didn't know what a kiss was?
I mean, I don't know. You kiss your parents. I love you, like whatever.
You never
and
told
then
your mom.
I did not. I've never put my tongue in my mom's mouth or my dad's. Which I think is healthy that I haven't done that. Yeah. But I mean, there's still time. With my mom. My dad's dead. That'd be very unhealthy. But it was, my dad told me a story.
5.
I've always been an affectionate friend.
Yeah.
And my dad told me a story at preschool where he came to pick me up and there's like a giant playground and the parking lot was right in front. And he literally like pulled up the truck and like honk honk. And I like looked up and I waved and he's like, and then I watched you go around the playground and kiss 4 different girls goodbye before you came to the truck.
But no boys. So
no boys. Yeah.
Like, that's my boy.
I get, yeah. But I don't like, those weren't relationships. Those weren't whatevers. That was just like kids not knowing and being innocent and whatever. But like my first like girlfriend kiss was like 6th grade, I think.
Shimmy for that. Girlfriend kiss 6th grade.
Like we were like holding hands for a while at the football game and then we kissed.
You knew it was coming.
Yeah.
Like,
which is weird. I don't actually remember it. But the girl that it was, her name's Jessica. We were friends from like 6th grade through high school, and we still talk now and stuff.
Oh, I was gonna say.
And she's like, "You were my first kiss. Like that was my first kiss." And I don't like that wasn't my first kiss, but I remember like that was my first like real like you're my girlfriend. We're gonna kiss.
Yeah, you were very present for it. You knew what was happening.
But I don't remember it.
But you don't.
And she was like, "That you don't remember." She's given me shit my whole life of like, "You don't remember my first kiss."
Rigorous
like,
honesty.
You were my first kiss.
Maybe
like,
that's a white lie you tell James.
I don't know. I don't like. I know. I remember the night. I remember being there. I remember the shirt she was wearing. It was a Sublime
She's like,
t-shirt.
Well, I guess it's a good thing we didn't end up together because you probably even wouldn't remember your wife. Like, hey, I live here too.
Yeah, and you're like, who are you?
So 6th grade.
But what about probably like 6th grade. What about you? What was your first?
I was age 10. I was in 5th grade.
Like a boyfriend?
It was my boyfriend, Nick Murphy. He was a neighbor. He lived close. We're probably Facebook friends. But yeah, I'm back in Texas now, so I'm like bumping into all these people that I grew up with in Houston, or they live in Dallas because I went to college in Dallas. So when I go to Dallas, or they live in Austin now, it's like it's a trip. And it was in the church woods. I'm a Jew, so I never felt like I was sinning. So I did so much stuff at the church. I went to Hebrew school at a church because there was no synagogue around in Houston. You had to drive like 45 miles or 45 minutes.
So a Catholic church that also did Jewish. Okay, but they also did Jewish services. They also had.
I had to take Hebrew school. We would go to the synagogue for Sunday school. Okay. We would make the trek but for Mondays and Wednesdays Hebrew school. I was like, look, I'm so confused. There's Jesus on the wall. I know he's a Jew, but like I see crosses. I don't understand. Where's the Star of David? Why am I reading, my Siddur and learning all these Jewish prayers and hymns in a church? This is strange.
That is interesting. Yeah.
So, but I played soccer there.
As if religion's not confusing enough.
Yeah. I played soccer there.
You kiss boys there.
I kissed a boy in the woods. Now I go to AA meetings at this church when I'm in Houston, like Chapelwood Church.
Wow.
What up?
Full circle.
Yeah.
So that was your first kiss. Was it like he was your little boyfriend, or like did you?
Yeah, we were boyfriend and girlfriend. We were.
Were you like the aggressive one? Were you like, let's kiss?
There was an element of pressure happening.
Just socially around like everybody because other people were doing it?
Yeah. Like I'll never forget when we were playing Foursquare one day and we were out on the hardtop at my school, my elementary school in Houston, and all the other girls around me had started shaving their legs, at least up to the knee.
Yeah, I remember that. Up to the knee.
Only to the knee. And I hadn't started yet, and I was mortified because the boys saw that I had like blonde hair, but like it was
this little peach foot. Yeah,
I felt like a Sasquatch. Like I felt so embarrassed, and I ran home and I cried to my mom. I was like, I can't believe you would let me go to school. Like everyone else is shaving.
And your mom's like, they're shaving their legs.
Yeah,
probably freaking out.
Yeah, and so that was a huge embarrassment for me. I remember. So then I was like, I'm going to make sure I'm the first that starts doing everything. So I believe I was one of the first.
Everything.
Well, again, that Jewish component comes in because all my friends are wearing this stuff from James Avery. It's a little Christian like a jewelry store that's big in Texas, and they make things like promise rings and stuff for Christ and like everything.
You're
for
like, I don't
crosses, and there's no Jewish section there. There is now. Some Karen was like, we need a Star of David in this shop, and so now they have one like Star of David option.
Okay.
But all these girls were wearing these rings, and I'm like, I don't know what that ring means. And someone said, well, it's a promise to wait till marriage. I'm like, I don't think we have to do that on the Jewish side. So I definitely didn't. And
when did you start dabbling around?
Well, 8th grade. 8th grade, yeah. Because
like full.
9th grade is when
you went all the way.
I did in 9th grade.
In 9th grade,
yes.
I had a lot of 9th grade. I remember 8th grade. I knew like one girl. I think one, maybe two, that had gone all the way in 8th grade.
It was sort of like I was in between a rock and a hard place.
Cock and a hard place.
Cock and a hard place. Yeah, because we were moving to San Diego. So I was in 9th grade. I was midway through my freshman year. I had my first boyfriend, my first real love. What's up, Johnny Gazzola? He lives in Houston. He's married now with kids. We're Facebook friends.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Was he older, same age?
No, we were the same age.
Okay.
And we'd already been, fooling around a little bit. And then it was just like, well, I'm moving. As if we knew that this wouldn't make things harder.
Right.
To leave and move to another state. We were devastated, crying, both of us so torn up. Aww. It was so hard to leave your life, especially midway through your freshman year in high school.
Yeah, that's a rough
My parents
time.
are dicks. They couldn't start us at the beginning of the year with everyone coming in from junior high. So all these kids are like, you hear that girl from Texas? She talks funny. So the boys were nice, but the girls were bitches.
That's standard.
And I was just so checked out because I was still, mentally back home, even though I was physically. And I went to Torrey Pines. I was thrown into Torrey Pines.
Wow.
And there's just hooligans. Talk about latchkey kids. Just people running around lawless.
Rich latchkey kids.
Dude, anybody. A kid would wreck his BMW and then a week later he'd have a new one.
Yeah.
No punishment. I was the only one that had a curfew. I was the only one that would get grounded. Everyone else had 1 a.m. curfews. I had to be home by 11:15 max. Yeah. But yeah, we ended up doing that deed.
Did you plan it? Was it before I go, we need to have a night, and you figure out
that conversation.
How you could be at somebody's house with nobody's parents? Was it in a bed? Was it in a car? Where was it? Where'd you do this?
So somehow
in the woods by the church.
My empty house in Houston.
Empty because we're about to move.
The whole house was packed out. There was nothing left. And it was in the closet of my brother's room. I have 2 younger brothers. And it was on the ground. My parents must have left for a minute.
Uh-huh. And you're we got 30 minutes.
I just remember being in the closet of my brother's bedroom in an empty house. And we did it. Yeah, it was very romantic. Probably some rug burn involved.
Tell me, what was your concept of it? Because I was a late bloomer. I was doing all the other stuff, but I didn't lose my V till I was a sophomore in college.
Okay.
But it was... Like I said, I was doing all the other stuff since freshman year of high school.
So why did you hold back on not?
In my mind, it was this giant thing.
It was
supposed.
It is.
It is.
I guess.
And I wish I didn't think it was, because I had girlfriends in high school that broke up with me
because you wouldn't.
Because I wasn't pushing that I wasn't. Probably because I wasn't but we're doing all the other, oh my God, I put in my 10,000 hours going down by sophomore year. I was and I think I was more confident in that. I think that was this weird thing where I was very confident in my abilities to make my girlfriends feel good.
Okay.
But then all of a sudden we start getting older, and now the girls I start dating, even when I got to college, where they've had sex. They've been having sex since 8th grade. I dated a girl when I was in college. She started having sex at 14. I had sex 6 months ago for the first time. And so there's this weird oh, well, she's going to have an expectation of performance and whatever. So I would have hardcore performance anxiety. And to me, I'm listen, I'll just go down because you're going to be cross-eyed and not speak. And how can you complain or be let down as long as I perform there, then whatever happens afterwards doesn't matter.
Sure.
But then even it would be I wouldn't even afterward. It would be, and I had a number of situations where this one, and it wasn't nice. She wasn't nice to me. I've dated a lot of not nice people.
Me too.
I remember one time we had, and it wasn't horrible. Which is not the way you want to describe sex, but it wasn't horrible. But we finished and she was like, well, come on, let's go. I was like, yeah, okay. But give me a minute. She's like, what's wrong? My ex used to be able to just keep going.
Okay.
And I'm like, now I'm dealing with that. Now that's in here.
Yeah.
Which means that next time, the first time I'm going to be too, the amount of times my body didn't show up for the show because the performance anxiety just, just was too much.
Mental. It's more mental 100% for women. Mental. It is for men too.
For sure. I think I talk about it on stage, but I think like it is unfair. Not unfair. That's the wrong word because life isn't fair. It is not talked about enough that there is a strange expectation that men should just be able to perform instantly. And it blows my mind anytime you see a movie like as weird as it sounds, Brokeback Mountain.
Yeah.
Do you remember when what's his name just walked into the kitchen and his wife's there and he just like hiked up her dress and went to town? And I'm like, no. Every movie you see, it's like people meet and 30 seconds later, they're just getting after it. Game of Thrones, same thing. There's nothing sexual going on.
Well, when you're 30 seconds your sister, later, I guess that's pretty hot.
I guess you're always excited.
Thing. I mean, I guess he just wanted to see his woman in the kitchen. He's like, yep, that's where she belongs.
I'm so hard right now.
Yeah.
But that's always frustrated me of like, that, no. Like, where's the foreplay? Where's the how are we both warming up for this?
Yeah.
And I have a joke where I talk about like, listen, if you meet a guy and it feels wonderful and it's hot and heavy and you go home together and he can't get it up, he really likes you.
Because
he really likes you. He's so nervous to let you down because he likes you. That's what happens.
Have you ever explained that to someone? Have you?
Not in the moment.
Thing.
Not in the moment, but it is.
Then the girl's like, "Oh my God, it's me. He's not
right."
Into me.
I've never had a woman be like negative about it.
Yeah.
But in the moment, you're just like, you know, and then they try to help, and it just makes it worse because your brain's fucking. But it's like, but if you meet a guy, like, so if you meet a guy and you go home and like it's not working, like he really likes you, like, like stick with that guy, like he's his like.
Give him a minute.
Yeah, give him a minute or the next time and just like, you know, take it slow into it and just help and make sure that everything's hot and go, you know, whatever. And then I was like, but if you meet a guy at a bar and you're making out and 3 minutes later he's got you bent over a garbage can by the dumpster, that guy does not like you. He's not the one that you should like.
That guy's a sex addict.
Yeah, that guy's got problems.
Yeah.
And so do you, by the way. You're by a dumpster.
Yeah. Come dumpster. Maybe that's where you should be. I don't know. Yeah. Well, that's interesting insight because if that ever has happened, you're like, oh my God, this is like, I'm so
like you've had it happen to you.
Yes.
You're like, no.
And it was with someone I was newly, like it was like
it was like the first time. Yeah.
Yeah, because you're getting to know each other.
And you're insecure about that and you're like, yeah, now we're both naked.
Especially if you're sober. If you're sober and it's another sober, like that's a whole.
Were you having a lot of sex when you weren't sober? Like, were you a party sex girl? Like,
no,
that sounds like a weird,
no, because I did a lot of cocaine, and so when I was on blow, I was like, "Don't touch me."
Interesting.
I was not.
I didn't know that was a thing. I thought people get horny on cocaine.
No, not for me. Not with coke. Weed maybe, but like coke, no. I'd just be like. I knew guys here in San Diego that weren't part of the comedy scene, but they were like I'd met them through some work stuff and whatever, and they were big into blow. But I remember them always being like, like they literally had like a little blow kit and then a little like Viagra kit that was with it because they were coke dick,
coke dick because I guess the real. And I was like, do you have to? They're like, yeah, but
like a piece of
but if you do both, they're like, it's like 10 hours.
Yeah,
and I'm like, that sounds like a nightmare too.
Wow, yeah, no blow. I was like, I was not in the mood. So maybe, that's a slogan for coke. Blow. Do coke, ladies. Prevents you from being a whore. Who'd have thought there would be the benefits? And there's probably a lobbyist that would come out and
really
do
go for it.
And
then I had a friend call me after she had I've always been like friends with women. And like I was a cheerleader, I did theater, I did chorus, like I did it so much. I played all the sports too, but I was always friends.
Sure you like girls?
Trust me, I've asked. And that's I've come to the conclusion, like, trust me, if it was a choice, it'd be so much easier.
Really?
It'd be so much easier to be gay. Like besides all the social stigma that used to do that, but as a guy, like just to know, like you hear stories, and I have gay friends that have told me where it's like, no, you go to a bar, like I forget what movie it is, but like, no, if you hold eye contact with another guy in a gay bar for more than 3 seconds, you're fucking.
I don't even think you need eye contact. I think just setting foot in there.
Yeah, sure. Like, yeah, you're fucking somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's I have a joke about that too, but I'm like, you know, if that shit was a choice, guys would just be like, hey man, do you want to? Hey, the game's on at 3. Do you want to come over at 2:30? We can suck each other off and then order pizza. That'd just be a thing.
If pizza's even involved.
Well, you're gonna have pizza and wings for the game, you know, whatever. But true.
Like, if you're allowed to stay for the game.
Yeah, but it's 2 dudes. Of course, that's what I mean.
What
it's
gay
like
guys are watching sports.
No, I'm not. I just mean like if it was just a choice. Like people talk about like gay being, it's a choice. It's a sickness. That like, no, it's just that's the wiring. That's the wiring. Whatever. But I'm like, but that's just not a choice because straight dudes will not do it.
Yeah.
Because we look at it
and
we're like,
that way. Have you ever tried?
Dabble. Yeah. Like, hey, Daisy, you got to put everything in your mouth once.
I'm getting it out of Papa today. It's coming out. You're just gonna sit in the corner.
It's not
and eat
for
the
me.
pickles I made.
It is not for me.
Yeah.
And that's why, because I was like, once. I don't know. And it was a guy that was definitely, he plays on both sides.
Okay.
And he was pretty much like, I want to do this to you. And I'm like, well, that sounds nice.
Okay.
Yeah. I've never had a woman be like, can I suck your cock? And I'm like, it's a hell of an offer. It's a hell of an offer. And I realized
I need context, environment. Like, give me some more details surrounding this. We're worried.
Drinking.
Okay, alcohol was involved.
Were any
drugs involved?
No.
Okay.
Just like drinking.
Watching the game.
What? Hanging out. Just hanging out. Probably like late night. It's like late and the party's over. Okay,
so
it's just a few people hanging out.
It was
something like that.
House.
Yeah. And I didn't know that this person played both sides.
Oh.
I did. I just thought they were another.
But have you been friends with them for a while?
Yeah, a little while. Yeah.
Okay.
And there was an offer on the table.
Yeah, you snatched it right up.
I thought I was definitely uncomfortable. Like it was uncomfortable.
It wasn't like it'll be over soon. Just go with it.
No. It was
if
just
you were not under the influence of alcohol, do you think you would have done this coherently if you were lucid?
He gave good head, so it happened again.
I mean, I'm sure they do. I hear it's Jewish women, fat chicks, and the gay and the fags. Yeah, it's the gay guys.
Yeah. So, but it definitely was one of those things because it was. I think it was also this like, well, I'll do this and then you do it.
Oh.
And then I'm just like, no, I'm not holding up my end of the bar. This ain't.
Yeah,
no.
We didn't sign a contract.
Yeah, I'm a liar.
So did
I'm
you just walk out?
I didn't. I didn't walk out, but it was just very much. Yeah, it was very much just like, hey man, you had a level of enthusiasm here that I do not have, so I will not be holding up my end of the bargain here.
Well, and how did he react? Do you remember? Like it happens.
A few months later, he offered to
first one's on the
again.
house.
So but that was interesting. Yeah.
Is that the best beach you'd ever gotten?
No.
No. Okay, good.
No, because that's the thing. It's like that was a situation.
Gays are already getting too much credit.
That was a situation where it's like, if I close my eyes and just have a sensory experience, this is still it's a good one. It's a good one.
Yeah. Did he have long hair?
Yeah, no. And rough hands. Like it was like don't
Stacy.
Okay. You're like, nope, don't talk. Yeah, so no, it was like okay, and I think I was young enough where it was like somebody wants to put it in their mouth.
Yeah.
Like somebody wants to put it in their mouth. Like that's this, like I said, no woman has ever been like, I really want to suck your cock.
Yeah, it's very
so I'm like, well, if you want to. Yeah.
From the gays, I think.
But no, the best has definitely been from women. And it's definitely the preference.
Good. I'm glad.
On all fronts. Like, men are not.
Yeah, I've never had a gay guy go down on me, so I don't know.
But never a woman?
Doesn't want to stop me from trying.
Yeah.
My gay best friend here, he's coming to my show tonight. I love him. And sometimes I would mess with him and be like, I'm going to show it to you. And he'd be like, oh, God. And he'd like run and seek cover.
It's like a car accident. I can't look away.
Yeah. He's had to give me some tips, though. Like, never really successfully done it up the tailpipe like the gays do. I'm always enamored. Like strippers with their strength, gay guys in the back door. I'm like,
does it interest you?
I'm not really into butt stuff.
Me either.
I really just am not. I've call me vanilla then.
Don't like leave mine alone. There's no reason. Just leave it alone. But like I've been with women where they're not like, hey, put it in my butt. But they're like, well, we could. But does it help?
It does. But sometimes it's just like, whoa, that's a lot. That seems like a lot.
That's a lot of
going on down there. Like, what is it called? A shocker. it's a shock. It's called that for a reason.
It's definitely going to wake you up.
Yeah. It's electrifying. But it's just never really been my thing.
Like I said, I've been with women and we've like dabbled with it, and by that I mean like putting it in there.
Yeah,
and
that's more than half the battle.
They were like, like I think one of them kind of was like, let's take it slow, but I like this. Da, da, da.
Definitely take it slow.
Yeah. But it wasn't something where it was like, we're gonna do that every time. Where I have friends that have been with women that are like, oh, like it's every time.
So
like they really
women really do. Like Nikki Glaser freaking talks about it. She's like
just loves
obsessed.
the butt. Obsessed. And that's great. Which part of me is like, hey, everyone loves a good poop. I understand the concept of like a good poop feeling amazing. Okay. Is it that
outward thing then?
But it's a full in my mind. I don't know. Is it like a full?
Well, it's supposed to be this erogenous zone that's in
There's
there.
There's nerves everywhere, right?
But it's like, well, what if this apparatus isn't even going to get to that part? And then it's like, we went through all that pain, in my opinion. Yeah. Even though, my gay bestie was like, you got to get this lube. Well, it was like a numbing one. And so it's like,
see, if we have to numb things, I'm not. And from a straightish, whatever you want to call it, guy that's dabbled, like, listen, one of the holes is fucking made for this.
Yeah.
And the other one, it's not.
It's for other things.
It's because like if you think about like one's a sleeve and one's just a balloon.
Yeah.
Well, give me the firm grip. Like I want a good handshake on it. Don't just squeeze.
I watch porn and I see these chicks and I'm like, this has to be AI. I mean, how the fuck is this woman just not being ripped to shreds?
She's very relaxed. She's very relaxed. I think a lot of them do like the dilation and stuff, whatever, like to like open, like they prep for the afternoon.
Right. Yeah.
You watch a lot of porn?
I'm like back to being single again. So every once in a while, like before show, if I'm stressed.
You can rub one out?
Yeah. Yeah. Like meditate, masturbate.
I mean, what's the difference? What's the difference? In a way.
Yeah.
If you do it right.
I guess. Yeah, I mean, I'm a
manual or toys?
I don't deal with toys. I'm quick. Like I don't need to fucking get something out, clean thing, clean it later. Like, no, it doesn't need to be.
There is the
that
post.
Complex. I have one, but it just sits in the drawer.
It's all alone.
Yeah.
It's just in the dark. Like, when me?
I bought it in LA, I think during the pandemic. It was interesting because it was a girl. It's called the Molly. And I'm like, oh well, I can't do drugs anymore, but I guess I can buy a vibrator called Molly. But it's one of those ones where I think it's charged by a USB port instead of batteries.
New tech.
Yeah, high tech. Yeah. But I don't use it. I don't.
It's a lot. It's just too much work. You're like, I got this.
I don't have time.
I got this.
I don't have time.
But definitely the porno. To kind of light the fire.
I mean, I like to educate myself. It's also stimulated some jokes about like foot jobs and understanding why that's a thing.
Why? Educate me. Why is that a thing?
I don't know, because people just really like. I mean, I have cute feet. I just don't really need to stroke a pole with them. You know?
I don't think it's for you.
I mean,
right? Is it for you? Do the women
we're interested? It's a very awkward angle. Like I'm good at.
The abs are definitely getting.
I did this on the mic stand the other day. I'm like, I don't understand why women are like doing this and why dudes like it.
The why dudes like it is the part I like, because I look at that as one of the things where like a woman is like, hey man, if that's what you're into, sure you can fuck my feet, like fine.
Yeah,
but. I don't think there's any woman that's like, I love it. This makes me hot.
Yeah.
Like, no. But even for guys, I'm like, what do you
I guess toes are another erogenous zone though. I mean, like if I've had my toes sucked before, it's pretty like, whoa. That's it's kind of like
as like very early foreplay, like part of the foreplay, just some kissing and touching and a little tickling,
like
and
then too.
All of a sudden you're like, oh, good, you're getting to the,
like
and he just passed your vagina and just went all the way down to your toes. And he just,
no, it's just the toes, honey. Yeah.
But I mean, he had to start up here. You were kissing first. It didn't start at the toes.
Oh.
So he had to like make his way south.
No, I think it started
and you're like,
at the toes before.
This is going to be. All right.
He's dyslexic.
Were they clean?
Yeah. I keep my toes clean.
Well, but what is that? Were you wearing socks and shoes all day, or did you like wash your feet?
I I can't remember.
And he didn't care.
I guess it doesn't. I mean, some dudes just like stink. They do. Like when you get home from the gym, they're like, I got to shower.
Post gym sex.
That's how I want to feel good and clean.
Yeah.
But they're like, no, it doesn't matter. Like, I guess just dudes don't care.
I think that's that like instinctual like pheromone.
I mean, they didn't have it back in the day. They didn't bathe.
Oh my
before.
gosh, they didn't bathe ever.
Yeah, exactly.
I think about that. I just watched
intrinsically in us. I like a dude stink though. I do. Yeah. I like his musk.
Yeah.
Like I'll smell your pits. I just like that.
Yeah.
I like
yeah.
Yeah.
End of the day or like post workout. Like yeah. But that's if both people like, hey, we're gonna go for a nice walk or a hike. Dude, a post hike love sesh. Yeah. Hell yeah. But like I'm clean and you're disgusting. I don't know.
It's the pheromones. It's the essence. That's a thing called vabbing I heard about on TikTok. I'm trying to write a little bit about that, but it's essentially you have a little sesh with yourself. I'm like, these jokes might bomb tonight, but I'm going to vab and I'm going to like take my essence and treat it like perfume.
So you work on yourself and then literally
then you like put it in your pheromonal, if that's a word, areas. Like here on the neck.
Just a little vag juice.
They're not going to be able to resist me.
Which is probably true. I guarantee that's a thing.
It's got, yeah.
Yeah. Like
they're
the
talking
pheromone
about all
thing
over
is
the
real.
internet.
Yeah. Yeah. There's all these companies coming out with like pheromone sprays and
whack
whatever.
Shit that chicks are doing with their moon cycle blood, period blood. Yeah. Putting it on their crystals.
And then charging them in the moonlight.
Plants, supposed to help plants grow. Putting it on their face
it's
like war paint.
Blood. I mean, it's nutrient rich.
I guess so.
It was your uterine lining was ready to prepare. There we go. I'm going to stay technical as much as I can.
Uterine. Sounds like a plant.
But I'm sure that's like, and this sounds weird. I mean, that's what ends up. Is this going to be right? Is that what ends up becoming the placenta and all that stuff?
I guess so.
Which is crazy nutrient. We are the only species that doesn't eat the placenta. Every other species of mammal that gives birth eats the placenta because it's tons of nutrients. That goes back to the mother.
Who eats the mom? Eats the placenta.
The mom eats the placenta. Yeah.
What if the dad just swooped in there and got it?
Well, I think culturally there are some cultures that do, and actually we're finding out now. And I know a lot of women that give birth now, doulas, which I highly recommend it. Doulas, Daisy. We had a doula. Yeah. She was fantastic. And she actually takes the placenta and creates a tincture out of it, and she encapsulates it, and that totally helped with like post birth, like just the focus, the energy, the reabsorption into the body of like these great nutrients. So like we should be eating the placenta, but the medical field got a hold of birth,
right, and
turned it into a sickness instead of a natural thing. And now they treat it like you are going to die unless we get you in this hospital and do this the medical way.
Was she breastfed, Daisy?
Yeah.
For how long?
A long time.
Yeah? Like Game of Thrones, like this kid can eat steak.
No.
I have a friend in LA. I hadn't visited her in a while.
I just how you instinctually grabbed your tits. You were like, because while we're talking about it.
Not going to let something suck the life out of mine. Yeah, that's the way. But I know a lot of friends that just don't breastfeed at all,
which is so sad. I have a theory on that is the reason why we are all so sick now. Is in the 1950s, the boomer. Well, it ain't helping. But the boomers came back from World War II. Not the boomers. The boomers' parents. So my grandparents came back from World War II, and we had this huge like industrial push of like everyone gets a car and washing machines and and life is amazing and we have plastic now and blah blah blah, and the medical industry was like, we've solved breastfeeding. You don't have to do that. And they made it like they tarnished it as this thing that's like, ugh, you're going to do that. Faux pas it. And they were like, here, give them this powder.
Some powder.
We've mixed all the chemicals together to make the perfect drink for your baby. And what people don't realize, like they didn't know then, and now we know, is like a whole bunch of the problems that people have is like gut biome shit.
Yep.
And so we literally hundreds of thousands of years of Homo sapien evolution was passing gut biome down through breast milk. And if you want to go like tribal, it wasn't, you didn't just, if there was a hungry baby, all the mothers that had given birth, they were all in the tribes watching the babies and raising the kids. And if the baby was hungry, You got 2 tits. There's a baby here. There's a baby. Whether it's your baby or not,
right.
the village is doing it, which also maximizing biodiversity in the gut biome and all that. So now the whole tribe is strengthening the next generation by passing on all the good stuff. Thing. And then the 1950s hit, and just a huge portion of the population just did not pass it on.
Yeah.
And then the kids were brought up on formula.
And then all the trauma.
And now it's like, why do we have all the peanut allergies? Why is everyone getting all these weird skin things and whatever?
I never had a kid in my class that had a peanut allergy.
No, me either.
No one.
No.
Or gluten. Nobody knew what any of this shit was.
So that's like that's a little hypothesis that I have.
No, I believe that totally.
That like, I think like we just cut off all this good stuff getting passed on, and now we're seeing, we're reaping the just what we sowed there.
Stuff that looks like cocaine, shake it up in a bottle and call it after a flower.
Pediatricians still push it. They still push it. Like we were pushed. After you have a kid, you go in for your 3-day checkup for the baby. And babies are allowed to lose up to, it's either 7 or 10% of their body weight. They know it's going to happen because in the womb, the baby's just getting constant food source.
Yeah.
Constant nutrients, right? And then the baby comes out, and now it's like, now you're breastfeeding, and the baby kind of has to learn, and it's a little bit of a struggle, especially. And it can be very hard. Like there are some women that it's a very big struggle for them to latch. Like Daisy was tongue tied. We had to like get her tongue clipped on the 3rd day and stuff, or that week at least. And then that helped, and then it was fine. But it was work, and I applaud her mom because she put in the work, and it wasn't easy, and she
stuck with it.
Oh my God. Like we may not be married now, but I am so impressed by her.
Aww.
And what she went through and the things she did to make sure that our child was as healthy and fantastic as she is. And she's the mother of my kid. I love her to death. Like I still love, like it didn't work. We're not in the same home, and that's rough, but like she always put the kiddo first, and that's rough. It's like women do not, I'm sorry, they don't get the credit they deserve to like having a baby, like the whole have a baby and go back to work and like, no, like that, like you should just have the baby and raise the baby and feed the baby, like so much. So,
that's great. Y'all co-parent so well. I'm sure that was an adjustment.
It's hard. I mean, it doesn't always work. Actually, last night we've been pretty good, and we are pretty good. We're on the same page about our stuff,
isn't it?
Yeah, but it is, and it's not. Like it is. But my schedule's crazy because I have to fit in everything the half the week I don't have my kid, right? So the other 50%. Because when I have her, and that's the beauty of like my life and the opportunities I've had and the work I do, is that when I do have my daughter, for the most part, like now she's in school, so I get more work days because I get to like come to the office for a few hours after I drop her off, and then I pick her up at 2 or whatever.
It's very routine.
But like I know my schedule. Yeah. Like I know... 2 years from now, I know a weekend I'm available to do shows because I know that every single Monday, Tuesday, I have my kid. Every single Wednesday, Thursday, she's with her mom. And then every other Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I have her or I don't have her. And I know that. And my calendar shows it forever on my calendar. Blocked. So yeah, because like that's the schedule.
That's peace of mind, man.
It really is, because I can, it's not like I have to be like, somebody's like, hey, can you do the show in 4 months? And I'm like, oh, let me check with my ex to make sure. Like, no, it's like, yep. I can or I can't, or I have my kid, but what's the show? What does it pay? I can get a babysitter,
right?
Which I don't do a lot, but I will do for the right kind of show, and if it actually pays, like if it covers the child care. That's the hardest part. It's like I don't get on stage enough because the nights I have my daughter, it's like I'm not going to spend $100 on a babysitter to go do 8 minutes, for free,
right?
Even though I still do. I mean, I'm in a position where like I agree with. There's like a whole movement now that feels like people are like, don't do free shows. It's fucked up. The place is taking advantage of you. I totally agree with that. But I also know with my situation, if I'm on that free show, it's because I reached out and was like, hey, can I do a guest spot?
Yeah, because you were prepping for something.
Or just like, hey, I have a free night and I don't have my kid. Can I run it? Can I come do a guest spot last minute?
Fucking joy.
And they're being, because it's the gym. It's a workout. I need to get some reps in.
Yeah.
And if I've had my kid all weekend, I've been up for 5 days.
Yeah. You feel it.
I feel every week.
Feel crusty and rusty. Yeah.
So that's hard.
But that's so lovely. And she lives close to you?
Yeah, we're like 20 minutes apart, which is like the perfect distance. New now? I don't know. It's none of my business.
Oh, really? I mean, it's your child, so I guess I would think.
I think we've both agreed that like nobody's gonna be in the home, nobody's gonna be around. Like if she is in my stance on for me is like even if I'm dating someone and it's like real, which I haven't had since I got the divorce, but it's something where I think, oh, there's a future here, like. Yeah, you get me 50% of the time, but like when my kids are around, you're not coming over. Yeah, you're not spending the night. My kid will never meet you until in my mind I'm like, are we like? I don't know if I'd ever get married again, but like, is this real? Yeah, because I'm like, no, that's not. It's not how my kid's not going to see anyone come and
concur. Go. It's just too confusing as they're learning and
and
absorbing
just like
everything in the world. That's and
all of a sudden there's a person that's around and she was here when I woke up and and then all of a sudden like they're not here.
That's not my teacher. Or maybe sometimes it is. I don't know.
So I don't know on that. On her end, whether there's a person, like I said, it's kind of nice that it's none of my business. She would
let you know if it got to.
I think we both would. Yeah. I think the communication's there for that. Our communication is pretty strong with the kid.
That's great. What does she do for work?
I don't know.
Oh, come on.
It's none of my business.
Wow.
I know she's working with a okay, I say that. I was like shrugged it off. She's working with a nonprofit
how she puts
and
food
doing
on
some
the table
stuff
for your child.
Yeah. She's working with a nonprofit and building some stuff, and it's pretty cool. Yeah.
I'm so
and that's the cool part. Is she's
I love hearing about this.
She's like, I don't know if I should talk about her this much because that's the other part. Is like
we can end it there. Now I know what she does.
But I will say like I look back at women I've dated and been with, and I am thankful that Daisy's mom is who she is. Because again, even though it didn't work out between us, like she's highly intelligent, solid mama.
Yeah.
Like so capable, not afraid to get her hands dirty and get to work. Like she is a fantastic like role model for our kid.
I love that. That's so great.
I feel very grateful that she is that. And I can see it in Daisy. I mean, you look at her and you interact with her.
Now?
She's 6 now. 6.
Oh my gosh.
And it's the best. She's in school. She's in kindergarten. She's loving that. She's excelling. She loves math and science.
I'm staying with my best friend from Torrey Pines. We've been friends forever. She has 2 littles, 6, Zoe, and then Hudson's 2. And I was just walking to the house, and they had my birthday's next week. So apparently I get a week because they said happy birthday week, but it was balloons everywhere and cookies and the kids' cards.
Oh, they're the best.
Oh my God.
Daisy made me my birthday was a couple weeks ago, and Daisy like she and on my birthday she was with her mom, so I didn't get to see her for my birthday.
That's right. You just had your birthday.
Yeah. And then she, when I picked her up from school, the first thing she did was pull this like card that she had made for me out of her backpack. And I was like, oh my God. And it's like beautiful. It's like,
so
I
proud.
Love you, Dad. Oh, so proud.
Yeah. Daisy, age 6.
Yeah.
Like
you do. You write on the back.
Hudson,
like this is
age 2.
Yeah.
They're so cute though. They're just like, they call me LJ. LJ. It's just nonstop. Blah, 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 following me around the house. And they have a dog now. It's just a house of love and hugs and sugar.
Yeah.
And I love being with them. And I've always called them Pickle. Like Pickle is Zoe. And so she drew me a card with all these pickles on it. And I gave her first pickle when she was a baby. It's the cutest video ever of her just like testing it out.
Yeah.
Doing the face.
Yeah, the face.
I like it. And she keeps going back in and doing that. It's the best. Yeah, I have that video. I'll go back and watch their videos. They're not even my freaking kids.
Yeah.
And
but there's something so important about that, and I'm sure I've said this before, but like I've realized with our friend group that it's like we have a really good, we call it the village, because like when we get all the kids together, it's like 12 kids, and there's like a bunch of different, like I said, some of them are doctors, some of them are in business, some of them are insurance, some of them are whatever, and but when we get, when we're all together, and it happens pretty regularly, like we'll get most of the crew together. It's not uncommon on like a Saturday for all us to end up at one house and there's 8 kids running around and whatever. And it's like Daisy's towards the younger end, but like the older boys, they all like look after her, and there's a couple other girls that are older too that are great with her. But I realized with some of the kids that like I'm an uncle figure, and the power in that and the importance in that. I think like people do not realize the importance. Like if you have a niece or a nephew or like a friend's kid in your life where you are an aunt or uncle figure, you are
They associate with fun. No disciplinary action.
Fun. If you're a fun person, yeah. Like you're like they associate with you with fun, but you're also like an authority figure. But you don't have all the baggage of the parent. And so there's like a couple of kids in the group where like when they screw up, I'll tell them. And at first they were like, "Oh, I'm in trouble." I was like, "Whoa! You're not in trouble. I'm Uncle James, man. You're not in trouble. Like, don't stop what you're doing." But like that thing. That wasn't good.
Yeah.
Don't like I saw what you just did to your brother. Look at me. Should you have done that? And they're like, no. I'm like, no. Own it. Should you have done it?
No one's ever been like, you're not my dad.
No. Just very much. And that's the thing is like I think there's a safety in the fact that it's like, I'm not here telling you you're in trouble. I'm not going to ground you. I might not even, I'm going to tell your dad. Like, I'm not going to keep something from your parents, but like, you're not in trouble. But I saw it.
Yeah.
And I like, look at me. Should you have done it? Should you ever do it again? No. Okay. Learning lesson. Move on. Yeah. And that's like with parents, there's so much baggage from whatever last night's bath time and did your homework get done and all this everyday life baggage where when the parent like tries to have that moment, the kid's just like, oh, all you do is tell me I did stuff wrong.
Oh yeah.
Where an uncle's like, hey, you're fucking up. Fix it.
It's weird how that dynamic is established really quickly.
Yeah.
It just happened. Like this morning, Zoe up for school. Kids were up. Hudson, the baby, sleeps till 8:30. So it's like nice baby. Because they do need time to get Zoe because she's starting to get like not want to get out of bed. She's very slow to move. Oh, what are we gonna eat for breakfast? And then she did it today where Carrie had already gone to work, but Paul was like, okay, he's Aussie. I'm gonna do your hair, Zoe. Like, let me get it. And he's like, I want LJ to do it. It was like that. No, I want LJ to read me
there's like a
story
defiant
tonight.
age in there, like 5 to 6. Daisy had it for a little while where it was just like whatever you wanted. Where she was just like, I'm an independent person. Like I don't want what you want. Yeah, which is a normal part of the progression. It's a frustrating part.
Do you think you'll have more kids?
No,
one and done.
I'm snipped.
Are you?
Yeah.
When did that happen?
After like once Daisy was 3, and like the divorce was final, and I was like. My kid's 3.
Yeah.
Realistically, for me to have another kid with somebody, we're talking a couple years of falling in love, a couple years after that to get married.
Yeah.
And then so if my kid's 3, that's 2, 4, 6. So now my kid's going to be 10.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, now they're not even siblings.
Right.
So I was like, I'm good.
Yeah, I love being close in age to my brothers.
Yeah, like that I get. My brothers and I were all 2 years apart. It made sense. We were tight. We were friends.
Clockwork. How do parents do that every 2 years? I mean, my mom's one of 7. It was every year. Every year.
Dude, you hear that and you're like, Jesus, slow down.
My brother and I are practically Irish twins. Yeah. My middle brother and I, 13 months apart. Yeah, I get to see him next week. He moved to Vegas. He left Texas and he lives in Vegas now. So I'm looking forward to
How many siblings do you have? Sorry?
2. 2 younger brothers.
Oh, so you're the oldest.
And the youngest has 3 little boys under 4.
Oh.
Yeah.
As soon as you're outnumbered, you're fucked.
Yeah, they are.
My brother did that too. He had a little boy, and then they were like, we want one more. And then they had twins. And as soon as they were outnumbered, you're just, it's so much.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if kids are in the cards. We'll see.
You want them?
It's like... The universe is probably like, what the fuck do you want, bitch? Like, it's back and forth.
Always,
like, today I want them. But then I'm like, oh my God, I couldn't go on the road and do this, and I love this.
Well, but that's where like, with the right partner and everyone understands and this is da-da-da, but also.
It seems like very out of reach.
How old are you? How old are your eggs exactly?
They're youthful. They're spry.
Spry?
Yeah. I had a sonogram not too long ago. We've got a baker's dozen in there cooking. 6 on this side, 6 on this, maybe 7.
Well,
yeah. I know how to add. My kids will be smart. My spawn will be smart. I'm in my 30s, so I
you got time. You got a little bit of time.
I mean, I look to like Janet Jackson, baby age 50.
But it's easier to do that when you have a ton of money,
right?
And that's the other part is like I love the fact that there's like a lot of comics that have just had babies or having more and whatever, and that's great. But it also helps when you have millions of dollars.
Yeah, who just Whitney, Rosebud,
Isla's pregnant again. Schlesinger?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Is she?
Yeah, I think so. I thought I just saw something she posted and she's pregnant again, and she was pregnant before.
She's 40, I think.
Yeah. So we're getting, it's possible.
It can be done, but am I investing all this energy into making that
finding
happen?
That's the thing is like, like I said, it's the what's the trajectory of like, okay, you meet somebody, wow, this is amazing, and we're in love, and it's a year later or 2 years. Okay, are we gonna like do this before we're married? Or are we just gonna have a quick wedding?
I just stay in the day. I just stay in the day because that overwhelms me.
Yeah.
There's that phrase, like when you look to the past, at least when you stare at it too long, it's like that causes depression.
Right.
Too much future tripping is anxiety. So
right. Stay here.
That is like a total recovery thing. But like for me, it used to just be one day at a time. Yeah. Don't drink and use drugs. Just stay today.
So you're full sober. Mm-hmm. How long you been totally sober?
Coming up on 5 years.
That's fantastic.
I got sober here in San Diego. Yeah. In Encinitas.
Was there a specific thing that happened that was like, I have to make a change?
Yes. It was a series of things.
You were next to a dumpster.
Rule of three. Hey, you could get it up real quick. No. It was a fine alley. It was a nice alley.
It was a really nice alley in La Jolla.
Nice 4-star steak. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Coast Highway. No, that did not happen. It was not like that. I actually lost people that I was really close with. I mentioned I was a broker at one point. I used to do real estate in San Diego. Right. That's when I started comedy because it's just like, oh God, I can't kiss any more frogs. I'm so miserable and all this stuff. And I'm putting shit up my nose. I'm drinking. I'm just like so unhappy.
Other stuff too? Molly and shit like that?
Yeah,
or just
the occasional, just on Friday nights. Booze. But no, I would say just on my birthday or like special occasions, we'll do Molly, Yeah. But it's just blow and booze and cigs and just not getting sleep and staying up till,
And you were in your like 20s at this point?
Yeah.
Did it like get to a point where you're like, I can't do this anymore?
I look back at like, how the hell was I starting stand-up comedy, waiting tables in Encinitas? Like,
so wait, when you started, so like when I met you.
Yeah, when I first started
you were
stand-up,
still doing the...
When I first met you at the Comedy Store,
yeah.
I think I was still partying. The first time I ever did Kill Tony, I was partying. That was 2019.
Wow.
And it was actually that night that a friend of mine got into a car accident and died. She left Moonshine. With a friend, and they got in an accident like on the way to Santee or something on the 52 freeway. And I'd done Kill Tony, and I didn't even really know what Kill Tony was. I just know I've been showing properties around La Jolla all day from this like, annoying Midwest couple that had a shit budget and they think they're gonna live by the ocean. Like, you guys need to fucking just get packing. Yeah. Or I was showing them houses in Oceanside. People would be like, well, I love the ocean, but I really can't stand the train. I'm like, well, neither one of them are fucking moving, so you need to go back to Minnesota, ho. Like, I hate this job. I love this job. Oh my God. I was so miserable. And you work for free until you get an escrow check. So I'm like, if I'm going to work for free, I'm going to do something I really love. And then that's when I was really high on cocaine one night by myself, party at 1.
By yourself?
Oh yeah. That's when I knew it was like
solo party.
Solo blolo. Like just doing, what would I do? Listening to music all night.
Yeah.
Messaging people. Calling people, like talking to other people probably on coke.
Before I ever got into comedy, I had a buddy one time that was older than me. He was like 15 years older than me. We lived on the same street in Tampa, and we played video games. We both flew radio control helicopters and stuff. So like we would hang out. We go get a couple beers here and there and whatever. And one night he was like he lived in St. Pete in the 80s, worked at like Bennigan's, and like he used to do blow, like that 80s blow.
Yeah.
And he was just like, told me one time, he was like, we were talking about something, and he was like, we should just get an 8-ball for like a weekend. And I was like, what does that even mean? Like, what do you do?
We're gonna be up all weekend.
Yeah. What's funny is he was like, I was like, what do you do with an 8-ball? He's like, everything. And we never did. And part of me like regrets that. Part of me is like, as I was young, I was in my 20s and stuff. No, especially now with the kiddo, I'm like, no. I see all these documentaries about like EDM festivals and stuff, and they look great. Like I love to camp. I love good music. I love to dance.
Yeah.
This sounds like a blast. I'd love to go somewhere out in the middle of nowhere and be camping in the woods and then walk 300 yards to the big stage where we're all, dressed like hippies and glow sticks and all the things. And it sounds awesome. And I'm like, I'm 42. I'm not going to do a bunch of Molly and go. I don't know. It just doesn't seem...
I wouldn't say the ship has sailed if the opportunity presented itself.
Now everyone's dying from drugs.
Yeah, that's the thing. See, that wasn't cigarettes for people back then. The fentanyl thing when I was doing the blow at my peak was never ever.
It wasn't a thing. It wasn't even a thing.
Never thought about it once.
And now, like, people are like
after that Kate Quigley incident happened, oh my God, like I was not right for a month after I heard.
Were you still doing?
No,
so you were already clean.
So it was just like hearing stories like that harrowing fear that I needed to hear, just to like sometimes for a hit of perspective, like, oh yeah, dude, it's not worth it. No. It's not worth it at all. And the
fact that like every now and then I hear like somebody's like, oh yeah, so and so got blow. I'm like, what are you doing?
I did it before. I was driving back from LA with another comic. I had just done the Comedy Store in LA. And this comic said, hey, I'll get you a spot at Madhouse, which I hadn't yet performed at, if you give me a ride down to San Diego. And I'm like, all right. Well, we were really tired from partying the night before.
Right.
And
so
he was like,
pick me up.
Yeah. He had some in the car. We stopped at a gas station. And I normally never, ever do coke unless I have alcohol in my system first. So just doing raw dogging cocaine.
Is that because you make bad decisions on
I never
alcohol?
Crave it. I don't crave cocaine. Just
but when you're a little tipsy, you're
when
like,
I'm tipsy, I'm like, oh, I would love to just get a little up right now.
I will say this: drinking on Adderall, holy shit,
next level.
Oh my God,
you
are wasted.
Yeah. Oh, you think?
Functioning high.
Yeah.
Like you are like. Wasted drunk. Wasted.
Oh, my vocabulary is so extensive right now.
At least you think so.
How am I so articulate?
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Meanwhile, they hear. Yeah. But yeah, that was the one thing where like I went probably like 5 different times. Like I was at a house party with friends and something, and like I'm standing at the keg, and just one of my buddies just shoves a pill in my mouth.
Yeah. There's no consent.
Just shoved it in my mouth. I was like, what was that? And he was like, Adderall. And I was like,
yeah.
And then you just crush booze all night.
Time to power up, baby.
And then I talked to the doctor, and he's like, yeah, you really shouldn't do that. You're going to have a heart attack. That's like
what happened.
Horrible to mix booze and Adderall.
And then like you want to come down. And I have friends that would take like Xanax at the end of the night. It's 4 a.m. There's a comic, Sam Prickett. You were watching him with me at Roscoe's.
Oh, okay.
He's one of my favorite comics. He's one of the door guys at the mothership. He does a joke about cocaine. He's like, it's not late nights, it's bright nights. Like, it's just the sun's out. Yeah, people are jogging, but who cares if it's 5 a.m.?
Still last night.
It's still nighttime.
Yeah.
Okay? It's not the next morning. He's so great. Anyway, yeah, that just like needed to stop because I would have to go like do an open house, which is working for
like
free.
The next morning.
Like the next day at 1 o'clock. And those hours from when I would end the partying to like the anxiety that would start. Where
would you even sleep?
Sometimes I wouldn't. I'd go get like a big burrito from somewhere and then I'd just try to eat it. Because sometimes I just couldn't even eat because I hadn't eaten in like 2 days. And I'd have to go and somehow I'd pull it off, but I would not recommend it. There was definitely an expiration date for this impending doom. So I lost my friend Nicole, and that was awful. And I remember doing a lot of cocaine that night. And it was just like, okay, this is the only way I know how to cope with grief or like stress or even just celebrating, whatever the reason was. Good, bad,
Give me a
didn't
reason.
matter.
Yeah. So I think I cut you off. So you were driving down with that comic, stopped at a gas station, did blow.
And I did blow. And I think it was Albert Mercado or Raul was hosting. And I went up and I think I was given like 6 minutes, like a standard 6. Yeah. And I think I only did 4. Because I was, and then I got off, and then one of the guys was like, "You went short." I'm like, "I did."
Did they even light you?
No, I don't even think I was lit because it was my first year in comedy. So
you were like, "This is all I got."
Yeah,
I did my 6 minutes. I just happened to do my 6 minutes in 4 minutes.
Micro Machine Man. I should have been an auctioneer at Sotheby's or Christie's. Like, we'll go over here. Okay. So I just thought, okay, that was a fuck up, and I will never do that again. And then 6 months later, I got sober. Because I lost my cousin, and then I had a friend from Torrey Pines who I also went to college with in Dallas, named John, and he was actually the first nicest person to me when I came to Torrey Pines. Like I went into algebra class, all the girls were bitches, and he was so nice. I mean, he had a crush on me, but he was just kind and warm and friendly. And fast forward, like we did so many drugs together in college. But yeah, he just moved at a really fast pace. He was a lacrosse player, cute kid. And then, I got a call about him from a friend. I was en route to my cousin's funeral in Texas that he had OD'd in Seattle. He was a chef at the time, and he had tried to get clean.
That's the other problem with the restaurant game.
Yeah.
The restaurant game.
Honestly, it could be any game. If you're an addict, it doesn't matter what you're doing.
Yeah, but the restaurant game, it's like, it's part of it.
Yeah.
Like I remember I've been working at restaurants since I was like 13. I used to bus tables all through middle school. And then in college, I worked at a couple different restaurants. And then...
In Tampa?
I went to college in Orlando.
Orlando, okay.
And so I worked at this Hawaiian restaurant.
You were in St. Pete.
No, I was in the Keys. I grew up in the Florida Keys.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
So, middle school I was in the Keys, and I bus tables every single Saturday and Sunday night, 6th grade through 8th grade. And I loved it.
Yeah,
loved it. I had money. Before I started high school, I had saved $5,000.
Purpose,
I had
self.
Yeah, it's a thing, and like also,
so good for you.
I was a young boy becoming a man that worked with a whole bunch of women in their late 20s and 30s.
Nice.
And there were many a nights. What's that?
It's like Wendy Peppercorn. You were Squints.
Yeah. So there were many a nights where I made more in tips because at the end of the night I would give massages to the waitresses. Standing in the back room, like, we're all done with shift stuff. They're all having their shift drink, and I'm rubbing shoulders and hearing about how these guys are just fucking dudes. And I'm just like, oh my God.
You're getting an education.
Oh my God. Oh yeah. Yeah.
That sounds like so much fun. That was
I learned a lot.
So my first actual job where I was on like what would be government, documented W-2 is I was the director of first impressions, but the receptionist is a more... I guess whatever way to like stewardess and flight attendant at a hair salon in Rancho Santa Fe. So bougie women coming in because they can't do their own hair, coming in 3 times a week to get it blown out with their little lap dogs. And I was the front desk who did all the booking.
And you're just listening.
And I'm listening. And I was the owner was South African. She went AWOL one day. Like, where's Carol? She's gone. This is her business. She would let me drink shandies, which is beer mixed with like Sprite. And then I was smoking cigs out back, kind of like this out back operation, little picnic tables. And they would do stuff to my hair. You
were like their pet.
Yeah.
That's how I look back now and it's like I was.
I was an adult though.
Yeah.
I was 15.
Because they were talking to you about things.
Yeah.
And they didn't treat you like a child.
No.
And I guarantee it that these women enjoyed the fact that I was a cute young guy.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, like we're gonna, like the amount of times they'd like push up their cleavage or like, oh, I'm gonna go see this table, whatever. And they'd talk about they would literally talk about their sexcapades.
Oh, absolutely.
And I'm just like a 13-year-old boy, like,
yeah, wealth of knowledge.
And they're just, and I'm sure in their mind they're like, this kid's just loving it.
Were you the youngest one in there? Were there not?
Oh my God, yeah. And most of the time it was all female waitress, wait staff. Every now and then we'd have a guy, but those guys would be the guys that are like smoking pot out back with the cook or something. I didn't know it. I was very naive in the sense where I remember there were a number of times on like a fucking Friday night or a Saturday night where it's busy as can be. And I'm looking around, I'm like, there isn't a single waiter on the floor, and I go in the back. I'm like,
smart business owner.
Huh? Well, they're in the walk-in. They're in the walk-in freezer. Oh. They're all puffing J's. They're puffing a J in the freezer together, and then all of a sudden they all pile out. And they come back onto the floor, and they're happy. And I'm just like a 13-year-old kid, like, where'd everybody go?
That's literally like Waiting, the movie.
Yeah, it's so. I watched that movie. I was like, this is so accurate.
It's so accurate,
and it's terrifying because most people don't know. Like, don't fuck with the people that make your food.
I hate that. That is like my biggest pet peeve about people. My parents are entitled when it comes. Like, I don't like breaking bread with them. I don't like dining with them out because I don't appreciate how they treat
your parents.
Staff. Yes.
Yeah. It's funny. I had that conversation.
Yeah, anyone, friends. Yeah. I have friends that are rude, and I'm like, I will not go out to eat with you.
I just had this conversation with Daisy. Being. Yeah, I think it was 2 days ago. We were talking about something at school, and she was talking about there was one kid that wasn't nice, and I forget what she asked exactly. But I kind of was like, Daisy, you're going to find in your life that you will be around people, and even people that you like, even people that are friends of yours, but then you're going to see behaviors. And I said something that you will see in your life, and this is a good depiction of I don't want to say it makes them bad people, but it should definitely be in your head that you observe them. I said, if you're at a restaurant with people and you see somebody treat the wait person poorly or disrespectfully, that's a huge sign that person might not be somebody you want to spend time with and be around.
Yeah, it's so true.
Because I had an uncle and I remember my mom like told me about it. And I'm using uncle loosely, like kind of like the village that we had as kids. We had a great village growing up. And I remember I'd never seen it before, but we went to a restaurant and there was like a mix up on the thing, and he just was like, as far as he was concerned, like she did it on purpose, and he was just so dismissive.
Yeah. And
I was in college when it happened, and he had like come out to like hang out with my fraternity. It was like a thing like that where like it was like bring your dad out to the ball game. Like my dad was 5 hours away, had no interest in football, but my uncle lived close enough, and he came out, and just the way he kind of interacted, I was just like, huh. And I mentioned it to my mom. She's like, yeah. I was like, she kind of explained it to me, but she was like, she's like, he's always been like that. It's the only time I've ever seen him treat anybody that way, because I've seen it before. Mm-hmm. And I guess it got explained in the sense where like when he literally resented wait people, because as a kid, his parents would take him to like fancy restaurants, and he was always just totally dismissed by the wait staff. So he just like as a child, he was like, fuck you.
Wow.
And that was like a 50-something-year-old man. He's still like, fuck you. And I was like, yeah, wow, that's interesting.
That's so crazy. Like,
but yeah, I can't, like, I see that out of people. I'm like, you are fucking with the wrong people.
It makes me so like, I just want to leave, and I just feel sick. And
that's
disgusted.
interesting. It's your parents.
I mean, my parents do this thing every time we go into a restaurant. Mm-hmm. They will not like the table we are sat at. I will literally count it down with my brothers with icon, like 3, 2, 1. Yeah, do you think we could move over
and
here?
It doesn't matter where they get
put.
put.
It's like 3 times. And then it'll be
move tables multiple times?
Yes.
At like fancy places?
How about this one?
Or like doesn't matter. We could be at a Chili's or at a
one
steakhouse.
One time my dad really, really wanted to go to Benihana. No one wanted to go there. I'm like, Dad, no. And then we end up getting sat in the bar area, which was closed off to the restaurant. I said, I cannot believe like we came to Benihana's.
We're not at the big table.
Yeah. It's Dad. Yeah, there's going to be an influx of noise in a restaurant because it's a public place. We should just stay home. We should just not. You should just dine at home if you don't want to hear noise. And you just see this face the whole time, like the nerve of how loud these people
Meanwhile,
are.
it's a Benihana where it's clink, 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 clack, 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 clack,
there's
clack,
not
clack.
more enhancement of noise with that. Yeah, it's a production. It's a show.
Yeah.
It's like fucking Vegas. So it's no one wanted to go there. He was so adamant about it, and some dish that he wanted. Well, the food came out. He was so displeased. He's barking about stuff for my mom. She didn't get this, and I wouldn't even feed this shit to my dog. And then somehow all of a sudden they're walking out, and I'm stood there, and the food was come. It's like, sir, you still need to pay for the alcohol. And so I ended up paying for the drinks, and I'm just like, I'm so sorry.
How old are you?
I was probably in college, if not just out of college.
That's so interesting. It's so weird when you start seeing your parents as people and not parents.
But I have friends. I'm having a dinner for my birthday on Saturday with all my closest friends, and they were like, well, are you gonna, is so-and-so coming? Is this person? I said, you know what? We don't really speak anymore. And I'm at an age where like, you're not really in my life, then I don't really want you at my table. Like, I don't really need, this is a special occasion.
Yeah, this day's for me.
Yeah.
I'm not adding bullshit and anxiety.
And also, you're really rude to wait people.
Yeah.
You're really rude to sirs, and I just don't even want a front row seat to it because it will make me want to vomit. And I'm too sober to not, because I see everything.
Right.
Now. Like nothing gets by me, So yeah, I'm almost 5 years sober, and it was just a lot. Rule of 3 of loss that brought me. Like I didn't even know I was going there. I knew something had to change. Mm-hmm. Like because stand up came into my life. I'm like, I really love this. Finally, a purpose.
The problem is stand up also lends itself to drugs and alcohol because it's everywhere.
Yeah,
I mean, the amount of shows I've been offered to get paid in weed, and I'm like, no.
Yeah,
like, I want money.
I mean, Skankfest was hard. Like I was literally offered acid and drugs. There was weed given to us in our gift bags when we arrived, like our check-in bags, and I sold it to some kid because in Texas it's not around. Yeah. So I was like, that's $25. So I sold the weed that Louis J. Gomez put in my fucking gift bag. But it's you just, like anything, you become a creature of habit, and it becomes easier and easier, and you're just immune to it. You're just used to it. But sometimes I do feel like I miss out on the camaraderie, like hanging out at the creek in the cave. Like, I want to go home. I don't want to go out back.
But if you were but if you were high, you'd hang out all night.
Yeah.
You were passing the J.
And I can hang for a while,
but it's different.
But I also would like to go home.
Yeah.
Because
it is, and it's different. Like I remember the early days. It was like we'd do mics, then we'd end up at the Madhouse, then we'd end up on the rooftop parking lot, and there'd be 20 comics standing in a circle, passing like 2 pipes are rotating one way, 2 joints are rotating the other, and you're hanging out with the funniest people you've ever known in your life.
It's a blast,
and you're just nonstop laughing.
Yeah,
and then you're on a rooftop till 4 a.m. talking to people and riffing bits and da-da-da. Like, it was amazing. And now I look at that and like, it's like, I just want to go home. And now I'm like, because I have a kid, like, I'm not proud of this, but like, I would do that till 2:30 in the morning and then drive home stoned as fuck.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, yeah, you can't, you got a kid. There's no DUIs. We're not taking chances. One time, the big eye opener there was like, it was that exact story. We were on the rooftop of the parking lot after Madhouse, high shit. 2:00 in the morning, leaving downtown, headed towards the 94, going straight out like what's it, Market or G or whatever it is, like heading that part of town
towards North Park.
Yeah. And I'm going, and you come over that one little hump, and all of a sudden, checkpoint, and I am baked off my face. No booze, but baked off my face. They were waving cars in to get stopped. I was the first car they waved on.
Oh my God.
And that moment was very much like, you just got away with it.
Jesus loves you, baby.
We're done. Like, and I'm not saying that was the last time I drove high ever.
But at that level.
But that was very much like, we're done doing that.
Yeah.
We're done literally just getting blasted and getting in the car and driving.
Yeah, worth it. I've had one. I was 20. It was in Dallas. I was in college. And that was not a fun 14 hours to spend in jail.
Oh, you did? You got the DUI?
Yeah. DWI was what it's called.
Driving while intoxicated.
Yes, because I was under 21. But
never had that. There were a few times that I got home and I was like, you shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
And that was in college.
And I didn't stop, I don't think. I'm pretty sure there were occasions that I drove under the influence.
Yeah.
Following. I went to just a really rebellious phase, a lot of recklessness.
Who were you rebelling from?
Oh, my parents, my dad.
Just the rule, just the like hardcore rules and all that.
Yeah, just childhood trauma.
Actually, like when you like just emotional.
Yes, a lot of emotional scarring.
Was it even intended? Like not intended. Like I don't think most parents, even if they're emotionally abusive, like intended.
Well, that's what my recovery is about. Is just believing that they were doing their best. You know. You
know what I don't like about that line.
It's not fucking true. You
want to know why? Because here's why. All of us could be doing better.
Yeah.
At everything.
Yeah.
And I look at my daughter and I feel like I'm a pretty good dad while also I'm failing constantly.
Yeah. That's
constantly.
Rough. That's a mind.
And so I look at my parents and I've tried to have conversations with my mom about it. And she just is like, well, we were doing our best. And I'm like, you're like, some of the times your best was fucking abusive.
Yeah.
And not even like physical, like we were spanked, but that's not even what I'm talking about. I don't even have a problem with how we were spanked. I honestly don't.
No, it wasn't the spanking.
It was the fact, like, as weird as this sounds, I was raised that, like, every meal's a buffet. Eat until there's no more food. Like, I grew up at a table where there was a giant thing of meatballs, a giant thing of mashed potatoes, a giant thing of corn.
Wow.
There was a salad there too. And as a 10-year-old, it was dish up as much as you want.
You're like Augustus Gloop.
And then you have all these references that I don't get.
Willy Wonka.
Oh, Augustus, yeah. Augustus, yeah. And so literally it's like I'm a 10-year-old piling on 4 meatballs, a huge scoop of mashed potatoes, a giant chunk of butter on the top, gravy over everything, corn and a salad, and there's going to be some type of dessert too.
Okay, at least there's salad.
Yeah, but it's not a real salad. It's like iceberg lettuce with a cucumber. And I would eat all of that and then make another plate.
Oh my
and
God.
Nobody was like every meal was literally 2 meals. And I'm like, I was a fat kid. My parents are fat. I was fat. Like I was chubby my entire life. And in my mind, you ate till you felt bad.
That's not.
And I'm like,
did you ever yak? Did you ever?
No, because it wasn't like that. Like I just ate, and then it was the kind of thing where like literally I got an entire plate of food, have 2 more meatballs, more mashed potatoes, another chunk of butter, eat it all up, and then there'd only be, and I have 2 older brothers, so we're all doing this. And then it would be like, oh, there's only 2 meatballs left. My mom would literally be like, here, just eat those. That's not enough for left. That's not, well, 2 meatballs isn't enough for leftovers.
Right. So, but there was never
just eat
leftovers.
Those. And I remember like, yeah, that's kind of abuse.
Yeah.
It's kind of like you didn't intend it, but you sure as fuck weren't setting boundaries and healthy guidelines.
Right.
But again, they were fat. Like my parents were both like,
called fat, which I was not. So it was that kind of stuff. And that.
Oh, your mom called you fat?
My dad did.
Your dad did.
My dad did. It was right.
Were you a little chubster? Like what? How?
No.
Did you have the little? Did you have the little thing that just hung over the?
I absolutely was not.
That was
fat.
the cutest.
I was not.
I remember in high school there were a couple of girls that were like, they were not fat by any means, but they'd wear those little shorts and they was like a little tank top, cheerleaders and stuff. But it wasn't like a muffin. It was like just a little bit. And I just
a little pooch.
Just a little bit.
A little something to gnaw on.
Yeah, cheerleaders and Sophie shorts, like.
Yeah. Sophie shorts, man. I had many pair of those.
But now, did you go 1 roll or 2?
2. Yeah, I go 2. Yeah.
You seem the type.
Yeah.
And I mean that in the night. Like there were some girls could just 1 roll, some went 2. A couple went 3 and you're like, what are you doing?
Yeah, that's a little,
3 was a little much. It's so funny. I literally just wrote bits about Sophie shorts like a week ago.
Oh my God. That's hilarious.
But
I have some pairs. I'm like, God,
you can still do it.
I don't want to throw them away.
Wear them. I mean, with purpose, not on stage, but
yeah.
if you're exercising.
But that's when I stopped eating. It's like, oh wow, call me fat once, and then you just stop, and then you get prescribed Adderall. You're like, okay, cool. Now I have this pill.
Now I don't have to eat.
To help me.
Did you get really, really skinny or something? How like unhealthy skinny?
To the point where it was like making my mom jealous because I was thinner than her.
So more emotional weird abuse.
So yeah, it was like she would put me on the scale at the house. I never was sent to like any sort of facility or treatment center or something for eating disorders. And then I was throwing up too. I learned that.
Like after you eat, like you'd eat and then just go throwing up?
Yeah.
How old are you? You're like a teenager. You're like 14?
Teenager. I started at age 15. Yeah.
And lasted how long?
Through high school. And then I remember going to college my freshman year and I was like, that whole scarring thing of like, don't get the freshman 15. And I made sure to like only eat a sandwich a day. Just like, that was it. And so I came back and I was commended. Like my mom was like, oh my God, she didn't even gain any weight. That's so amazing. Like, yeah. Oh my God. But then I got a boyfriend who was in a fraternity and then it was just beer, just constant. Yeah. And I was like, okay, it's time to start doing some cocaine. Yeah. Cause I saw some pictures of me like after that second semester freshman year where I'd gone to Hawaii with my best friend who was still a senior in high school at Torrey Pines. And I was just like appalled.
Like your bikini picture was like.
I couldn't believe like.
How chubby were you?
I mean, it wasn't terrible, but in my mind,
compared to for
with
body
the dysmorphia, yes, I was like, oh no. And then that's when I started doing blow pretty regularly, and then probably Adderall too. Yeah.
Jesus.
So that was college. I never wanted to go to college. I wanted to go to Hollywood to act. And who knows how that would have turned out. But again, it was what I wanted and intrinsically have always wanted to do. So I gave a shit about that.
Yeah.
Everything else was just forced from societal norms.
Right.
Like,
yeah. I went to college because that's what you're supposed to do. And your parents had the money to send you. So that's what they expected too.
And I told them, like, don't waste the money. Don't, and think on purpose because I had like a little bit of a scholarship my freshman year that covered my meal plan and like my books, which are expensive.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think my dorm, like, so my account, but then I was like, fuck this. And so I lost the scholarship. I didn't care. I just rebellion.
C student?
No, I had a pretty good GPA, like low 3s. I think I graduated with like a 3.3 out of college. It was enough, I don't remember if any jobs asked, hey, what was your GPA? No. Honestly, my fucking degree got me nowhere.
Yeah, most don't.
I got drunk for 4 years. And I'm sorry if that sounds entitled or elitist. I sure wish somebody who really wanted to go to college could have gone. It was like me and all the jobs that I did, like being a real estate broker. I hate this. Well, there's people that really love doing this.
Right. And that's great. They should do that.
I'm doing this business a disservice by being in it because I'm resentful against it and I'm miserable and I need to figure out how not to do this. So, I used to sell houses here in San Diego.
Which, again, if you're into it, really good career,
my God,
great money. But it's you better be into it because it's a grind.
It is a grind, just like comedy's a grind.
Yeah.
So it's like, you better really freaking love it. I really freaking do.
The unfortunate part is you can't have one great joke. Well, I mean, nowadays maybe that's different, but it's like you know, back then you sell one good house and you're set for a year.
You can be,
with the with the right commission here and
I would get that escrow check and I wouldn't feel very much joy. But like, this should be so much more than this, because the house always wins. So I give a percentage back to my broker.
Right.
You're supposed to save, they would educate you, 10% for marketing fees for your future, for like photographs and videography and all that for your next listing. 10%'s got to go to Uncle Sam because you're 1099 contractor. So what's left? Fucking bupkis. And then you're supposed to put some away for savings for yourself.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, I can pay my rent this month.
I can hardly afford blow.
Yeah. And I always said that. I never bought it. They always just handed it to me. And then I looked at my Venmo history and sobriety and I was like, oh, why did I do that?
You're throwing.
I used to use the, when you had to start putting a memo.
Yeah.
Because I've used Venmo when you didn't have to put a note.
Right. I remember. Yeah.
So I used, instead of like snowflakes two on the nose or a snowman, so I used the fried shrimp, the tempura shrimp emoji. So I just saw shrimp. All of a sudden down, I'm like, wow, okay, I did buy it.
What's a weekend of blow cost?
Well, a gram, I was actually talking to Austin Comics outside on 6th Street about this. I was like, what does Coke cost in Austin? Because I'm curious, like, it's been a long time since I've done it.
It's like, I'm considering starting a new business.
I know. Best kind of drug dealer, don't do the drugs.
Right.
Just don't touch them. So yeah, I would pay $60 a gram here. Mm-hmm. And I would go to a sushi restaurant in Encinitas. I wouldn't even have to have an exchange with another human being. I would go into the sushi chef's car, open the door. The gram bag would be sitting in his cup holder. I'd leave her the money in there, and then I'd take the bag. Done.
And it was $60 for a gram. And
$60.
How much is an 8-ball? 3 grams?
I guess it would be $180.
But that's because it's 3 grams.
Right.
Okay. I don't know.
I never bought 8 balls. I only would buy
like a gram at a time. And a gram would last you a weekend?
Yeah.
But you could also burn through a gram in a night if you really went hard?
Yeah, because I would share, it gets shared. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, that's the worst thing. It's like, we need more, but it's 3 a.m. and how are we going to do it? And now we're crawling out of our skin. It's horrible. It's horrible. It's fun for a minute, but then it's just this high that you're constantly chasing about. Okay, whoa, I'm too up. I got to have a drink. Okay, now I'm getting a little sleepy. I got to get up. All right, you're just chasing this balance, this perfect high that you want, and you can't fucking sustain it. It's stupid. It's retarded.
I'm so glad I didn't get it. I'm
so glad that you did too. Like, that makes me so happy to hear that when I talk to people.
I've tried it 3 times. And
you seem to be like a 3-time trier for a lot of things. Maybe not the gay
It's
stuff.
a rule of 3s. Yeah, not the gay stuff. That was a one-time, definitely not for me. But thank you, sir, for your dedication and commitment. But like, I remember the first time I ever tried it, I was in Reno with a bunch of friends, and one of the guys was like, his job was he was in finance, and his job was to like entertain whales and just get them to bring their money to his like big firm.
Right.
And
he had to pull out all the stops.
Oh my God. Like, his job was to party.
That's like a concierge.
It's crazy. Yeah. So we're at this hotel, we're in Reno, and it's like a bunch of buddies. Like we all kind of like got together. We hadn't seen each other in years. And he's like, yeah, we should get, we should have a good night. We're gonna have a good night. We're gonna get dinner and stuff. But before we do all that, like, I'm gonna get us some blow. This is gonna be great. And I'm like, yeah, I'm always been like, do you? Like, I don't know, I'm not really interested, but and then he like called a strip club, and they sent a limo, and we took the limo to the strip club, and it's like 6 p.m.
Not in the strip
club. So, well, you know what's weird? Yeah, it was. There was nobody at the strip club. 0 people.
But it's dark in there.
It was dark in there. It looked like it was 2 a.m. inside. The sun was still up outside. And we get to the strip club, and there's like 4 of us, and we're just standing there while our buddies like talking to security guys. And there's a girl on, and this is like, it's Vegas, so it's Reno, so it's huge. There's a girl on the main stage in a room that holds 200 people.
Wow.
There's nobody there.
Great place for comedy.
But she still, yeah, it would be actually. She still has to do her set or whatever they call it. Like, she's got 3 songs. She's the, next to the stage, Cinnamon, whatever. Like, it's her turn.
Yeah.
And this girl goes on stage. We're standing literally 35 yards back in this giant room, like sitting in the corner. Like, we're not here to hang out. Like, we're not doing this. Like, our buddies over there apparently getting blood. Like, I don't know. In my mind, I was like, why are we all here? This is weird. So, but it was so strange to watch this poor gal.
For no one?
Got naked.
Yeah.
For no one.
Oh, man.
And then
nothing got thrown up there?
Nothing. Nobody was there. No one. And then she literally picked her clothes back up, walked off as the next girl came out and did her 8 minutes or whatever. And then, so all of a sudden, like, our buddy's in the corner talking to the guy. He's like, all right, come on, we're going to go. And we get back in the limousine to go back to the hotel. And we're in the limousine. And I was like, what was that about? He's like, oh, all limo drivers have Coke. And I was like, okay. And so we're in the limo, and he has this tiny little bag. And he's like, here, and he, like, puts a little on his hand. And, like, we, I think we all did it. I don't know. But, like.
Yeah, you must have.
And I do this, and this is the first time ever. Okay.
Oh, that's gross.
Like, that's gross. Like, and he's like, yeah. It's like, you taste that, like, in the back. You taste that little thing, but I was like, yeah. What's that mean? He's like, that means it's bad Coke. And I was like, oh. I was like, in my mind, I'm like, okay, so, like, we're not doing this. I was like, what do we do now? And he's like, oh, we just do more. And I'm like, this doesn't sound right.
Do as much as we can until it gets good.
Like, I did not do more.
Like
I did that
Donnie in The Wolf of Wall Street, Jonah Hill, when he's like talking about, so you drink enough non-alcoholic beer, it's like you get
fucked up, right? Like, no, that's the point. It's non-alcoholic. He's like, so I don't get it. But like that was like, and in my mind, I think there was also this thing. It's like, if you're in a limo in Reno headed home from a strip club, like that's where you do Coke for the first time, you
do the booger sugar.
Yeah. And then, so that was the first time. Years later, I'm here. Somebody offers, like, we're standing behind the whistle stop in South Park, and somebody's like, you want to do a key bump? And I was like, fuck it. I don't know. I'm standing by a dumpster. Whatever.
I'm Jay and Silent Bob right now. Let's keep up it up. Come on.
Did that, felt nothing. Neither time did I feel anything, by the way.
Man, this is bad shit, dude. You need to go down to Miami, back to your roots.
Back to my roots.
You only have to do one line and you're good for 3 days. You end up in the Bahamas.
It is funny because I do know people that were like old enough back then, and they were like, the Coke in the 80s in Miami was so good.
Did you watch that show Griselda with Sofia Vergara?
No.
She killed it, dude.
Griselda?
Griselda. She's the godmother. There's a quote. Think about this. This is like the way the show opens. Okay. I'm not going to tell you anymore. But it shows the person at the end because the quote's coming out. There's only one man I've ever feared, and it was a woman, Griselda Blanco, Pablo Escobar.
Oh, yeah. She was like the Madam of Miami, right?
Don't fuck with us.
Yeah.
Yeah, she dude, but this story,
yeah, she's like, she was like a murderous maniac.
Oh,
like,
God.
Yeah, she was so cutthroat. Yeah.
So
I grew up an hour and a half from there.
My dad's from
that.
Coral Gables.
Yeah. He saw it all happen there.
Yeah.
So, but then the last time was I had done a show at like this new club that had opened, and
where
I'm not going to give details.
Here in San Diego,
I'm not going to give details.
Okay.
But the
Winston's on bacon.
How do I say this without? I don't know if it matters. I might have said this before. I don't know.
You can edit it out.
I don't edit anything. That sounds like work.
It does.
There was a Russian guy that was like a part owner in the club.
Okay.
And I'm waiting to get paid. And I'm in the green room. And he comes in and just starts chopping lines on the table. And thick Russian accent. Like thick.
You're like, thanks for cutting the line. Can you cut me a check while you're at it?
Yeah. I'm like waiting for money. And and I was like, hey, like that. He's like, oh, so-and-so's going to get it. Da, 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 da. Chop, 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 chop. And he makes these big lines. And he's like, you like? And in my mind, I'm like, I think it was one of my first times ever like headlining a club. Yeah. And I was like, and it was one of those things. I was like, when a Russian guy offers you Coke in the green room while you're waiting on money, I guess you do a line. I guess you do. And I did the line. And also I was like, this guy's not fucking around with bad Coke. I know that too.
Yeah.
Like this guy has money. He's not messing around with shitty Coke.
Vladimir.
Yeah. So I did this I did a line. And all I remember I just started talking faster.
Yeah.
I didn't feel good. I didn't feel like I felt good before. I was already riding the high of a great comedy show. So I was already feeling good. But it wasn't like I was like, oh, I get it. This is amazing. I was just like, okay, I'm talking fast.
Yeah.
That's all I know. I'm talking fast.
And I was like, this is back on the stage.
Yeah.
Now you go do joke.
Yeah. So I just was like, this isn't for me, clearly.
Wow. Well, yeah, I'd say 3 times a charm, you'd know by then. That's great. I wish my chemical makeup was like yours, where I didn't get addicted to
I wonder, I
wasn't doing it every day, but when I did it, I did it. I was committed.
I tried weed for the first time as a senior in high school, and I didn't really drink in high school either. I only did a couple of times, 4 times total.
God, no. It's 3 times only, remember.
No, it's 3 drinks if I'm going to. But back then I didn't know. The only time I drank in high school was with my brothers. When my older brothers were literally bad influences. I was in high school and I went to my brother's college up in Jacksonville.
I was with my brothers because I was the oldest.
Yeah. So they were like, I'm going to show you this stuff. Yeah. And then when I was a senior, my brother was like, it's funny. He said the exact same line. The first time I ever got drunk, I was a freshman. He was a junior. And he was like, hey, James, we were over at my buddy's house. And he's like, we're playing video games on computers and shit. He's like, hey, James, you ever been drunk? And I'm like, no.
So
he's like,
creepy.
You're gonna be tonight. And that was the goal for the night, was just to get James, and everyone else got drunk too, but was to get James. No, I drank half. I drank a giant cup of Mad Dog 2020 grape, and I pounded 2 Budweisers, and that was and I was hammered. And then we just played video games. It was awesome. And then my senior year, my brother's like, hey, James, you ever been, he's home from college, you ever been high? And I'm like, no. He's like, you're going to be tonight. And that was the first time I ever smoked pot. But I remember in high school, I had buddies that sold weed. And it was so funny. In the Keys, they would drive up to Homestead, buy pounds, come down, split it up. And in my mind, they're selling it to other kids. No, they're selling it to literally, and this is small town shit.
Yeah.
They're selling it to their friends' parents.
Yeah.
Because they had money.
Right.
And I remember I was talking to one of the guys that did this, and he was telling me about it. He's like, dude, it is so paranoid. I always am freaking out because from Homestead to the Keys to where we were was a 40-minute drive, 30 plus, depending on where you're going. And he was like, the entire time I'm driving, I'm freaking out because I have 2 pounds of pot. And something happens, da-da-da-da. Well, he was the one that was doing it. He was picking it up, coming down and selling it, right?
A lot of work, a lot of risk.
But I remember talking, I was like, well, what's weed like? And he was like, don't do it. James, don't do it. I was like, why? He's like, because you'd love it.
It passes. Theo Vaughn's the best. It's a confusing spice. What is it? Yeah. Weed you'll forget how to get home. Cocaine, you'll forget how to get to heaven. It's so good. It's at the great strip club. They do.
Oh, at the Ari show or whatever.
Yeah. God, I love that. It was such a good.
But I remember him saying that and thinking oh, that's weird. But I was always just turned off. I was like this little naive kid, and so I just wasn't really interested in and it was when my brother was like, "Hey, we're doing this. We're with friends." It felt fun, and I loved it. I did have a blast that night. And then I didn't I didn't do it again for 2 years. I went to because I was cheering in college.
Do you not have an addictive personality?
Well, see, that's the part where I don't know, because I know I have an addictive personality when it comes to food.
Okay.
And I also know that if I drink the 4th drink, I'm having the 6th, which is why I don't. I've just created boundaries, right? And then even I've found with pot over the past few years, if it's in my house, I end up using it.
You're going to consume it. And
so I've had multiple times where I'm like, I don't want this in my house anymore. I'm doing this, and then I'm not being as productive as I could be.
Yeah.
And da-da-da.
It's a lot of self-awareness.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't have that. And pot, I feel definitely throws a dent in being self-aware.
It just makes it it's fine. Everything's fine.
I just don't want to be slow. Pot is just so far in the. I used to get stoned on the way to high school every day.
I had friends that did that. I didn't get it.
I'd pick up my best friend. We'd pop on some Steely Dan. I'm from a different decade. I shouldn't be in this era. And we get high before school. Then we had a mid-morning break after first period because we were block schedule. We'd go toke up again, and then after school again. I was high all the time until the Adderall came around. I'm like, I like this better. And then you go back to trying to smoke pot when you've had introduced uppers and stimulants in your life. It's not the same. You're like,
because it's just not enough.
It's just, it wasn't glorious like it once was. at least pot changed, or I was like, no, I think I just did, because I was putting all this other stuff in my body. And you go back to smoking weed and I'm like, no, I'm paranoid now. I don't like it. I'm dry mouth.
That's the other part. Weed used to be so much more fun. Weed used to just be sit around and laugh, order pizza, watch a movie, hilarious night.
It's too complicated.
And now it doesn't have the fun factor it used to have. And I don't know if it's just because I have so much more responsibility.
Probably. That could be
But it's just, I'm sure it is, but it's like, this shit used to be just really fun.
Yeah.
And now it's like I get high and I'm like, am I a good dad? Am I? Like yesterday when she was here and she asked me that question, but I was like trying to send an email and then, I should have paid more attention.
Yeah, that's not a rabbit hole I want to go down. And I could totally just check that at the door. But yeah, I never thought I'd be on this wavelength, on this path, and it happened. So what's new for you for shows? Are you going to be coming back to Austin?
That's my goal. My goal is to be out there about every other month.
Great.
Depending on schedule and stuff, just because I like it's interesting. There's all this like new drama. I don't want to talk about it or get into it because I think it's fascinating, but it's also like, wow, just lighting fires.
Whoa, I know.
But all like
comedians.
Fuck it, we can get into it. But also, it's like I think there was a thing of like the mothership is like going to be this amazing place for everybody to. No, there's no room for everybody. No. The scene has room. The scene's growing to accommodate everybody. But I look at it where people are like, it's not the Comedy Store. Yeah, it is. It is the Comedy Store. From what I can tell, and I haven't spent much time in LA, from what I can tell, it's a better version in the sense of like it doesn't have the history. So there isn't all this weird like long-term baggage, but it's very much like, hey, the people that really went for it early and like signed on and were part of it, and that like they have been rewarded and they are in positions to get the stage time and do the things. Yeah. And then it opened up for the next group and they became door people and whatever. But it's like, yeah, the door guy's not going to get 4 spots a week, just like in Hollywood.
Yeah.
They get 1.
Some of them do.
Some of them do. Some of them have risen and done things and whatever.
That's hard. This is how I relate it. There's always someone out there making someone else's life hell, and then you are probably making someone's life hell.
Yeah, and you don't even know it, and it's not your fault. It's because you're not even doing it. You're existing, and they see your existence and go, well, why do they have that?
Exactly, especially a comedian.
Yeah.
Because
oh my God.
Nothing more fragile than the ego, unless you're doing work on yourself and you're doing like.
Even when you are.
Yeah, it's still there. It's
still there. And for the longest time, how many times have you had this? And that's the thing. It's like you have your group of comics that you're like really tight with and then whatever. And you find out like your friend's like, oh, I got on that show. And in your head, you're happy for them.
Good for you.
Hey, no, but you are like, it is a fucking, that's awesome. That's so great. And then the back of your head's like, how'd they get that?
Yeah, that's
why didn't somebody
that's Hyde back there
offer that to me? Why didn't I get that?
But the work it comes in like yours is coming. It's coming.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you putting in the work? Then put in the work.
Yeah.
And some people put in the work at the exact right time and got the exact right opportunity and filled that space. And guess what? There are no more spaces.
Right.
And that's kind of how I always looked at LA, especially before the big exodus, was like, I had friends moving up to LA. I'm like, to do what? Because it's full.
Wait around.
Yeah. You're just going to hang out on the porch? Because especially like once all the famous people came back and the store was like crazy, those couple of years before COVID.
Yeah.
The store was insane.
Yeah.
You could go there on a Tuesday night and watch the greatest comedians of our time work out in multiple rooms in one venue. But it's like, if you're a micer, you're never getting on.
Yeah.
There's no room for you. And now I think that's where like Mothership is, where it's like they built the crew. There's literally not enough time in the day.
No.
For more people to go up.
I know people, that are past and that
and they're getting their one
they call
set.
Their avails in and they get maybe one at midnight.
Sure. But that's, again, if they were in Hollywood, that's what they'd be getting.
Yeah.
So it's just weird, the push, it's like, oh, it was going to be different. I don't know if it was. It's going to be whatever it became because that's the only way it can operate is to be that. And also I think there were complaints about what people were getting paid.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's still more than anywhere else.
Yeah.
it's more than anywhere else. And I've heard that there are tiers.
Sure, that makes sense.
And that does make sense.
That's like in an office.
Yeah.
This guy's.
So, but also the guys on the bottom tier, like when I went there, and I don't expect like when they told me, hey, we need a W-9 from you because you did a late night set on a Sunday after the mic. Like the first time I went, I got a spot on there. And I'm fortunate because I do know people that are.
Oh, it wasn't Brian's show first?
Well, I did that. No, I did. I ended up doing that too. I did Bottom of the Barrel, and they were like, "Yeah, we need the W-9 so we can get you paid for that." I was like, "Wait, I'm getting paid? Like, guys, I'm just thrilled to be here."
Yeah.
They're like, no, everyone gets paid here. Yeah. That's not everywhere.
Yeah,
it should be, but it's not. Mm-hmm. And so to complain about that is like, you got $100 to do 15 minutes.
Yeah,
that's unheard of.
I've got to hang out in here because there's not really the way it's designed, which I think he has it that way, but it's also a historical building.
It can't be.
Yeah.
That's the other part, is you are also dealing with like, and being there and seeing it kind of solidified it too. Like, it's weird that you could argue that Joe Rogan's the most famous person on the planet. Mm. Like
my parents don't know who he is.
Right. But it's like your parents don't know who Nicki Minaj is. Like, it's like there's fame that's so whatever, but he has this huge whatever that, like, for him, the safety factor has to be in place.
Absolutely.
Which means the security has to be tight.
Yeah.
And I will say this too.
And bountiful.
No one's fucking around in that room.
Yeah.
You want to start heckling, you're done.
I was in there with shows that were to Tony.
Yeah, and guess what?
Yeah,
and every comic wishes every other club.
One guy did get walked out. He got walked out. Yeah.
We're not messing around. Mm-hmm. We are not messing around.
Totally.
And every comic wishes other clubs were like that, because there's nothing worse than being on stage and like some guy's drunk and whatever, and like they start messing or heckling, and you come back because you're protecting yourself from the stage, and then all of a sudden you got a guy that's on his feet. And who's your security?
Right.
An open micer that got a job here? Great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like the security level, the things, the fact that like not anybody can walk in. You're not hanging out in the back unless you are part of the select few names that we have room. It's only
been a year. Today's literally the year.
Is today
anniversary? Yeah, today.
So it's like, is it perfect? No. Is it so far run better and operating at a level that I've never seen anything else? Yeah.
It's very savage. It's ballsy. Anybody that's going out on a public platform and speaking out about their opinions on things. I was talking to another comic in New York who's been in the business a long time, and she would tell me, and she was very much a mentor to me, and she's like, you would not believe the talent that is in the city that just sabotages themselves so badly.
Because they just complain.
That, or they're just bad or difficult to work with. You know, I know talent always rises to the top.
Not when you're a dick.
If you're a dick, or you're, just in it for yourself constantly, you're always there as a taker, and you don't contribute back to the currency, the formula, like just even asking someone, how are you? Or saying thanks for having me on your show, just like the etiquette.
Yeah. Which there's etiquette. Have the etiquette.
And that was interesting because I'm seeing that now in Austin with people who are just, I'm like, God, you're funny, but you're just blowing it.
And you don't have to.
Yeah, and you're doing it. Why? Like, are you that mentally ill? I don't know. And
also the other weird thing about it is, like, if you move to Austin to get in at the mothership, it's too late.
Yeah.
It's like, but you're in Austin. Comedy's exploding.
It's amazing.
I did more sets in a week than I've done here in years.
To be fair, when I come to town,
when you are a guest,
when I go to New York, or like say, like when it's just like boom, 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 boom,
which is also why I don't go very often. Yeah. In my mind, like every couple of months is a reasonable amount of time to like kind of hit everybody up again and be like, hey, I'm going to be in town in 2 weeks. Just throwing it out there if it's possible.
It's so fun when you go on the road or you go to another city and just. It's
you just
everything.
Get to do a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, it's everything.
But I still think, but the thing is, like, from talking to a lot of comics that live there, is like, maybe I'm getting opportunities to do more than just open mics.
Yeah.
But there's a ton of stage time there too.
Totally. But when people hit me up, because I do run a few shows, so it's constant, and they go to the spam folder now, so I don't even see all those, but I try to be cognizant and like check them often. It's exhausting. I can't get to everyone because everyone wants to come to Austin right now. Like, I'm trying to do a home swap with a New York comic so I can go stay there for a couple weeks and they can have my place because I have a bomb location. Great. I have a washer and dryer in my house. I have like, it's turnkey and it's super close to downtown and all the action. But it's just like the influx of people that have come in. I mean, I meet a new person that's like, I just got here from Alabama like 3 days ago.
Yeah. So same thing when I was there this past time,
and it's doubled the cost of living since I moved there 3 years ago.
It's pretty nice.
I was paying $800 a month in Travis Heights, which is a bougie neighborhood 5 minutes from downtown. Gas has been pretty much consistent, $2-3 across the board, so that's always nice. But it's a small city. I'm from Houston. I lived in Dallas. I lived in LA. Like, this downtown, like the infrastructure cannot support. Plus the homeless, everything that is coming inbound. So we need to put a wall up. That's what I'm just saying. I'm building it. It's a side project. I'm getting paid by the state. Thank you, Governor Abbott, for writing the checks from your wheelchair. But it's just crazy. It's a lot, and everybody's expecting something. Everyone wants that Kill Tony glow up. I'm gonna go do a minute, and then I'm gonna be
I'm gonna be on tour now.
Yeah,
which is crazy because again, they're going there because that's happened.
Right.
That's happened for a few comics.
Andrew Tarr was the one, and Dylan Sullivan. So it was beginning of 2021. I had just come back from living in Mexico because someone was like, we're opening up again. Come back. Come home. And then it was not happening. And then Andrew Tarr was already down there. Brian McDuffie was already there. And I had just had, when I was doing my pod, Wake and Cake, Dylan Sullivan on. And he said, yeah, I'm going to go give it a try too. And so I said, you know what? It's my home state. Why not?
Yeah.
My lease is up. Let's just go.
Yeah. I mean,
I can come
even
back.
now, I don't think it's too late to move. Like, the scene is great. If I didn't have a child here and responsibility here and stuff, I would have probably gone when in the beginning. But even now, I don't think it's too late, but you can't have the expectation you're going to go there and be the next Mothership regular.
Right. Yeah.
But you can go there and get a bunch of stage time in a scene that is so pro comedy. But I wonder, I see so much enthusiasm for comedy and doing shows and getting up. Mm-hmm. But then you also see, and I wonder if it's the guys that like they got there maybe at the right time, but they weren't in the right place at the right time, and they didn't get in.
Yeah. And
now they're pissed off because all these other people are coming too.
Yeah.
And it's like, but the scene's growing. Like every time I turn around, every time I've been there, there's a new club or two.
It's crazy.
So
my independent shows, as a result, one of them's free at a sober bar. We just closed it up, but free to the patrons. But the other one that I have, that's at a wine collective. Like they're they're both on 6th Street, like in the downtown area, and I've felt the decline in ticket sales
just because there's not enough people.
Yeah,
I had 2 shows at Sunset Strip get canceled because literally they were like, we just didn't move tickets, and the weather was a little like just sketchy enough.
City. And there's too many. This is what a comedian said who came in and did a weekend at a Creek and Cave, and she called and she said she's in recovery. She's like, there's just too many choices, I think. And I said, yeah, there is. And literally, it's like Starbucks, Comedy Club.
Yeah.
Yeah, go on the other side of the freeway. Comedy Club. Yeah. So I was like, they're going to turn that Planned Parenthood into a comedy club. You know, it's a lot. If you go on what's a very cool tool that I don't think San Diego has, but it's called Do 512. Mm-hmm. You can go and advertise your events on there, and then you get people to vote it, so it rises to the top of the heap, gets more exposure than just selling tickets, because you're out there, you're barking.
Yeah, every show has barkers.
Yeah, you have to, and a lot of comics do that in exchange for 5 minutes.
5 minutes. Yeah,
send them packing.
Which again, how it's worked in every city where any comedy scene was growing. New York, I mean, you talk. I think Bert Kreischer says he invented barking because he went into the Catch or whatever it was, or the Boston Comedy or whatever. I'm pretty
sure the Fringe Festival in Scotland did 75 years ago.
That's a good point.
That's all they do is litter that town with paperwork. It's I don't think.
Have you been to that?
I have. It's magnificent. It's so much art to consume. You want to see I got to meet Janine Garofalo, see her, workshop this thing.
Were you trying to do comedy there?
I did several shows. Yeah, I did several shows. Leah Lamar was there doing her one-woman show. It was so cool to see her have her own thing. Another comic that I met on Zoom who is from Mallorca, but he lives in Wales. He was selling out. He sold out every night. Like this was his 8th
That's a
Fringe.
big deal.
It's a huge deal.
Because Fringe, if you don't know, it's literally 30 days straight where you have like your space at your time and you're doing a show every single night.
Pretty much.
I remember Zoltan
grinding
did
like
it.
a mother. Yeah. Oh,
and he was like, he did it one year and he was like, I don't know if I'll ever do it again. I think he said this to me. He was like, but literally by the time I left, I was doing a completely different hour than when I got there because you're doing it so much that one, you're just tired of it, and two, there's so much happening that you're just evolving and writing and evolving and writing. And
writing. So there's the free Fringe. So some comics. I went because I'm Scottish and like I was dying to go. My booby had recently died and I was like, she would have wanted it this way. I've always wanted like, what am I going to do? I'm going to go spend it on this trip. And I only went for about 2 weeks, but got to have a few days in London, but it was like a solid 6 days in Scotland, in Edinburgh. And it was just like, like a fantasy land. Just everywhere you went, there's
something to see that's interesting.
You could go see Brian Cox speak from the show Succession because he's Scottish, or Gabriel Burns in this room giving a lecture over here. Janine Garofalo, didn't even see any of her posters anywhere. All of a sudden, just happened to find something hidden by Janine Garofalo's fucking here. Like, go see her show.
And then you walk to the next door. There's a magician. You walk to the next door. There's a guy that does a thing with cats, and then like it's everything. It's
the
literally
most talented
everything.
Shit. My favorite thing that I saw was I love Fleetwood Mac and I love the Charles Manson story. These women used the songs from Fleetwood Mac as they were all actresses posing to be the women of the Manson family. It was all their stories, and they sung like beautifully. I'm like, that's gonna get a fucking Tony. Like Fleabag. Are you familiar with that show?
Yeah,
Fleabag. She's the president of Fringe now. Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Fleabag started at Fringe, and Netflix was like, "Yep." And
we'll turn that into a show.
Yeah, so you never know, but
it's
just like you gotta go. They have one in Adelaide in Australia. There's this in the spring. And then there's the Hollywood Fringe that they do in June, which I'm probably going to go check out.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah. So there's 3. But do the Scotland one.
Yeah, that's the original, right? That's the one.
I think so. I think it is, but it's unbelievable. I'm so glad I did it. And then to perform, you're like, God,
the fact
I've done
that you did
this.
it. Yeah.
And I did a heckle show, which was so amazing. It was like I was told, hey, when you come here, they're going to be very aggressive. It is not like the comedy that they couldn't have been more polite. They were terrified of me if I tried to engage with them. I don't know if it's a cowboy hat or like what, but I was walking around and I'm like, there's no gun under here, guys. You guys, we can engage, you can respond. The way the heckle show was designed was like a Christie's auction. They had paddles. I was like calling on students in a classroom. Yes, you would like to say,
what? Yeah.
May I something? Like, I'm like, I thought it was going to be drunk and jeering and, but it wasn't at all.
I had a friend, I made a friend years ago when I started on this journey, 2012, when I drove around the country and I was in Chicago for a summer. I did at Improv Olympic at IO. I did like a 5-week summer intensive improv program.
Cool.
And you get put together with your group, like your team, and it's 13 people, and then you're with them every day for 5 weeks, and it was amazing. And one of the guys that was there was from Northern Ireland. He was a comedian from Northern Ireland that came just for this. He literally petitioned Ireland to he wanted to bring improv back to Northern Ireland. So they gave him a budget and sent him to this thing to go learn. And then he went back and started a thing there. But he had been a comic for years in Ireland. And he told me, he's like, yeah, our crowds are rowdy. If you're not doing well, they're not having it. And they will heckle and da-da-da. And I remember being like, oh, wow. And it was just interesting that the cultural difference of that is
I was expecting that because I was told, and I'm like, okay, I love a challenge. Let's go.
Yeah.
And then
you get there and they're like, may I please? Please?
It's like,
I would like to say something insulting to you.
Yeah. It was like one guy did break his paddle. It was just not what I expected as far as being heckled here in the States. But maybe, I need to go to that part of Ireland, but definitely highly recommend it. I wish I could go. It's not really in the cards for me to go this fall. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Things could happen.
But there were a lot of Austin comics that went and they kept talking about it. I'm like, okay, they were running shows there. Yeah. They were set up. And I was like, if I'm able to make it there, can I?
I just don't how do you, there's so many shows that even if you get your spot and get your venue, it's how are you going to fill it? And I'm guessing the answer is you don't, for the most part.
Yeah.
But if you bar, if somehow somebody sees you and you get a review or something,
do the reviews.
Yeah.
And even the guys in Austin with the free one, they were getting horrible ones and they were posting all their bad ones, which was really funny. I think, it's all about your venue that you get hooked up with. Your ability to grind every day and like really bark, but you're just getting thrown.
But you're barking next to barkers that are barking for the show before yours and 2 after yours and da-da-da-da. Yeah,
exactly. Or stuff that's already had rave reviews because from last year, I don't know. So it's something to marvel. It's a spectacle, something to see, and it's in fucking Scotland.
Yeah, so that's a fun thing too. Yeah. All right, before we go, I had a thought last night. Daisy and I have been reading a book, and she pulled it out, which was interesting. We haven't read it in a while, and it's all about understanding and expressing your feelings. And I thought, considering this is, let's be human, the thing that's most human about all of us is that we all experience all the feelings, right? So I wanted to ask you, we're going to go down the list. The feelings are peaceful, confidence, anxiety, anger, happiness, and sadness.
Okay.
Are kind of like your main, where you can really categorize what you're feeling and going through.
That's my palette.
Yeah, that's your palette. So just to kind of go through, like, what brings you peace? What's something that brings peace to your existence?
Being on stage. Also singing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you sing a lot?
I do.
Like on your own, like at home and in the shower and all that?
My ex and I, several exes. My most recent ex, he could play the guitar, so we would jam at home.
That's awesome.
Like after shows, yeah. And that's was like really truly cool. Like felt such an amazing decompression when you're hyped after a show. To like switch gears to not just talk about comedy, no,
right?
Like,
but you're still being creative.
But you're still in another art form, and so looking at the ocean, which I better do this trip.
Yeah, you better get down. It's right there.
I'm a Pisces.
It's right there. Me too.
Get it? You get it?
I get it. We're
so
fish,
lots
water
of things
people.
bring me peace.
Okay, good. What is something in your life that you're confident about?
My talent, being funny. I am very.
I love the matter of factness.
Yes.
It is a weird, comedy's one of those things because like we go through such ups and downs because I know I can do this.
Yeah.
I know how good of a show I'm able to put on. Yeah. And I still look at it and be like, I'm only getting better too. Like I'm not even great. I'm not even good.
Yeah.
But I know what I can do.
Right.
But then you have a bad one and you're like,
yeah. It's been a minute since I've had a really bad one.
Oh, well, it's coming.
It's just around the bend.
It
Let's
always
hope
seems
it's not
like
tonight. It better not be tonight because this is like a milestone moment for me to be headlining at my home club where it all started when it used to be called something else, not run by Russians.
Oh,
tonight I'm at Mic Drop.
Mic Drop.
Yeah, because I started there, the Palace. It was the Palace, and just to return there.
Doing a gold room headlining set?
Yeah.
I love that room.
I know, and it's changed. Like the format is different because the stage used to be in the middle right when you walked in. Bad. Now it's like so much better. So I don't know where I'm at with ticket sales. The last number it was decent, but I'm hoping that it's sold out.
The good news about that room is if it's 12 people, you can have a good show.
Yeah.
If it's 25 people, it's a great show. If it's 50,
it's more than 25.
Then you're good. Then you have a show. That's
awesome. So that, like I had an audition I had to do the other day because I'm doing more acting, and the audition was like, do 3 SNL style characters, whether it's an impression or it's a music or whatever, a skill. And I just busted 3 different characters out, and I watched back at it. And I was like, fuck, dude. I'm awesome. Like I just did. I just thought, wow. Like I'm proud of myself that I
that's important.
That shit
I don't think people
ass.
are feel like they're allowed to be proud of themselves enough.
Yeah, I pretended to be a redneck park ranger, from Kentucky, and I just made up the park name. And then I was a British food critic who was like a snob, and then I was the Jewish, Yenta, who I put and I was just like, you just did that in like
out of nowhere.
An hour.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I'm like. Because I love it.
It does help when you love it. Yeah. All right. Well, then on the complete other side, what creates anxiety for you?
When people are mad at me. Yeah. I'm like. That's
actually mad at you or perceived or you think they are?
Maybe. Yeah. If I'm in a fight but also because of that pain, like good work can come out of that. Productivity can come out of that. Pain, tragedies, comedy kind of thing. Not being prepared. Yeah. I don't like not being prepared.
Yeah, I get that.
Like I guess that's the perfectionist in me that I try to shuck, which I've gotten a lot better.
Do you procrastinate to the last minute to prepare?
No, I've gotten better at that. But yes, that has always been a defect of mine, is the procrastination. But then, because of the pressure, like, wow, comes out of that.
Yeah.
So that would probably be it. Like if I'm not having enough time, like hours in the day.
Oh,
just that.
What was the last time you got really angry?
It was a fight with my ex. Yeah.
Are you proud of how you behaved in your anger?
I think it was the appropriate response, when I found out what I did, but not what I did, but what happened and how I found out. So, I think a slap to the face was the appropriate response.
You got physical.
In this situation, yeah, I did. It was a huge
Would you do it again?
Would I do it again?
Would you slap again now that you've had time to think about it?
No. I don't know.
That's an interesting. Once things get physical, it's very interesting for me. I've only had one incident in a relationship where I've never gotten physical, but I've had somebody get physical with me and put their hands on me. And it definitely was this moment of like, oh, like that's a line in my, like there's a clear line.
What was the context? Like, we
were in a fight.
Okay.
And I calmed myself down before the other person.
Did you find out that the other person's partner, who's married to them for 20 years and they have 4 children, call you up on Instagram to tell you?
No, nothing like that. No, it was just a fight it was just an argument with a person.
Yeah, this was more than an argument. This is like a situation where
it's a middle of the night phone call. Like,
spend
your
my life with this person, and they're living in my house, and they were doing this in my house, and the sneakiness and the betrayal and all of that.
Fucking high level
and then
anger.
I'm finding out from someone on social media who's been trying to get at me for days because all the messages are going into the spam folder.
Right.
And I check them because I think, maybe there's a booking in there. And then all of a sudden some guy in Tampa, Florida, and he's saying, hey, are you still with this person? If not, you've dodged a bullet. But if you are, you've been duped just like me because blah, blah, blah. So.
And then did he have any clue it was coming, or you just walked up and fucking let him have it?
He was in the bathroom brushing his teeth. I was in bed, about to go to bed, and I was doing what I didn't want to do, be on my phone, winding down, going to bed. But there I did, and I went into this bed. It was like a Monday night at midnight. And then you freeze because it's a shock. And then it's just like the whole evolution, all the palettes of emotions. Like, do I feel relief at all? Do I feel angry? Do I feel scared? Do I feel like, oh my God, you're just overwhelmed with... Yeah, betrayal is a big one. I don't remember if that's on there.
Betrayal is a big one. I have been betrayed before, and that's just one.
Or feeling used.
Yeah, because that's all. It's in there. Because it's just like this thing. It's like, wait, but you've been telling me things, and we've been together and doing things and da-da-da-da, but that's been happening too.
Yeah.
Because I remember looking at the person and just being like, how fucking crazy are you that you can look me in the eye and tell me the things you've been telling me and spending the time with me that you've been spending with me
and have the room, the capacity,
even that.
Yeah.
And then I find out that you've literally been cheating on me for like months.
Love is blind. They say that for a reason, because you're like, hey, I'm sober. I'm with it. I'm lucid. I'm paying attention, but not that close, I guess.
And I learned that one early. I learned early that like I can't control other people.
I did. I slapped him.
You slapped him.
I did.
It felt good.
Get the fuck out of my house, because I pay for this place. You don't. Yeah. So it was like a financial thing.
Yeah, it was all the things.
It was all the things, and you
lit them up.
I'm just. Repairing it all, and getting a little stronger every day. It's possible.
It is. Yeah, that time will heal.
It does. If you do the work too.
When are you most happy?
Most happy again
on stage.
I mean, it's like when you said this I think it was with Leo Flowers. You were talking, because I listened to this interview you did with him. It was so good. You were talking about when you're flying and when you're on stage, those 2 times there's no other time to think about anything else, because you are the most fucking present, especially in the plane, because like at least you're on ground when you're performing, but you're
the sets
here.
that are the best sets that you have, you are so present. It's the sets that you're not present and you're just but the ones that you're fully present, like, man.
Yeah, it's like gliding. It's like a float. It's cloud nine.
It is. What about what was your last bout of sadness about?
This breakup. Yeah.
Like after the anger subsided, the sadness set in.
Yeah, just the aftermath of it all. It just feels like, oh, fuck, another failure. Like another one bites the dust. But this last relationship, when you get sober, they encourage you, and you don't have to heed it, but it's strongly encouraged. Do not date your first year in sobriety, because you're like a little baby fawn who's trying to learn to walk again.
Right.
You don't know you, and
you don't trust yourself.
Yeah,
right?
you don't trust yourself. You don't know what's best for you. Still, sometimes I don't, but like I'm a lot better at it now. But you definitely don't want to bring that into your realm. You could run the risk of relapse, if that person uses, the enabling, all that, the codependency. So I stuck true to that. And then we went into lockdown. And then I went and lived with a gay Jewish Ukrainian man in Mexico. So I was definitely, for miles, there wasn't a straight person around. So then I went another year. So I was like a Jewish nun until I moved to Austin. And then, so like I really truly think I like closed up for a while. And I was like, I just don't know. Not going to do that anymore. Because, you don't want to get hurt. You've been hurt.
And also you don't trust yourself.
And probably, that
bit of that
too. So, you roll the dice, and that's probably, romance and finance is always the struggle for me. I think when you're an artist, you're just trying to find some consistency, some baseline, some stability.
Security.
And if you choose a person that you bring into your life that is nothing but unstable, you're just like, I just want to find a person to substance, not someone who's addicted to them. Is that so much to ask, and it's... and
it is.
And then you're like, oh, fuck, I'm attracting this. This is me, because people, some Taylor Swift song. That's why I don't like her.
What is the worst piece of advice you've ever received, if you can think of one?
The worst piece of advice?
It's just a bad piece of advice that somebody, and you're like, that's not...
Dang. God, I don't know.
That's all right. It's a strange question, because it's a strange one to think about, because if you got bad advice, you probably didn't keep it. Is there any good advice that you've received in your life that really stayed with you? Yeah, don't date comics. Don't fuck them. I guess. Maybe I don't know. They go hand. Have you dated many? No. I only sort of dated one. Done the legwork once. That's enough. You said what? I've done the legwork once, and that's enough. What was interesting is I had friends that were dating. I had friends that were comics that were dating each other, and it worked really well for them. And it looked great. Yeah, it can. There's the exceptions for sure. And then I get jealous of that. I'm like, how can I? Because also, like, they get to see their person. Because I'm like, when you're doing comedy it's 6-7 nights a week. Yeah. And that person gets it. Your crazy schedule. Like, an architect's not going to get that. What do you mean you're going out at midnight to talk on stage? Yeah. Go to bed. Wake up for your job at 8. Yeah. Like, I've got to go. Yeah. There's a lot of pluses, and it's great. But also the minuses, because you're dealing with comics. Yeah. So I'm really going to chew on that worst piece of advice. Oh, like maybe something about money. Probably something from the last generation, the boomer generation, telling me something like don't do what you want to do, because that's I don't know. I'm gonna have don't worry about it. What is yours? What is yours? I don't know. You don't have. That's why I ask other people. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I should probably have one in my back pocket. If I've been given only good advice my whole life. No, definitely not. I haven't. Definitely not. But I know. I think it's one of those questions where, like, if somebody has one, they have one. Yeah. But I think most people, you're not going to remember the bad advice necessarily. In sobriety, again, with like no dating, they said, like, don't make any big moves in your first year. Like, if you're in a relationship, you're contemplating divorce, like, don't end it. If you're in a job that you want to leave, don't leave it. Like, don't move. And I'm like, but you guys just told me that in this thing that life happens on life's terms, and I have to move right now. Like, I have to take another job. So I think that comes to mind. But there's more stuff. Of course there is. Don't worry about it. It's fine. Anything else? Worry. No, there's nothing to worry about. Anything else you want to mention or say? Where can people find you? My name, Lauren Jamison. Sounds like the whiskey, but spelled a little different. Jamison.
The Lauren Jamison across the board. All the
socials.
All the socials. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming. This was so fun.
This was so fun. Thank you about letting me be human.
Thanks for being one.
It's nice to be one.
It really is.
It's nice to know you as another human.
Yeah.
Yeah, in this crazy world. So
this is the longest conversation we've ever had.
It is.
And we know so much.
We do.
Very good. Aww. Thanks.
Thanks for having me. Let's go get some ice cream.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my ears.
2.5?